All right, welcome to another Sunday study group. We got Sean, we got John, we got Toe, we got Matt, and we're gonna go over my Micro Main Sunday from August 25th. I think I final table bubbled it. I do believe so. I think I got 10th, if I remember correctly. So we'll start from the beginning and we'll just get going. Yeah, we're just checking that back, right? Nobody's raising that. And then flop the.
Screen because I don't see it.
What's that?
I don't see your screen. I don't see your screen.
Oh, you don't see my screen.
Yeah, I don't see it either yet.
Here we go. Here, I'll start over.
There we go.
All right. You guys see it?
Oh, beautiful 5 deuce.
Oh, 5 deuce in the small blind, in the big blind. And a 5-way limped pot. Like, I don't think anybody's raising this, right? We're no one's hitting the pot button here because that's what it would take. So we're just going to check it. Then we flop the open ender with the 3 being super strong, relatively, to the low side. Anybody betting out here in the limped pot with the open ender?
You got one person behind you. You might.
You got 3 people behind you.
Sorry, I saw that wrong.
But it's also a limp pot too, and we're in the big blind. I'm not going to go down the line. I just want people to tell me what they would do. What would you do, Sean?
Double belly buster. Let me see. I don't know. I'm half and half. Sometimes I bet it. Sometimes I don't. I mean, I like to bet a little. You know, I wouldn't go crazy with it. If I were to bet, it'd be maybe say 90. Throw 90 out there.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I mean, there's so many people in the pot. It's dangerous. So to do that, you're going to get somebody probably that's going to call you. Yeah. So unless you're increasing the value of the pot, which maybe you will be, you know, that's one of those. Maybe.
What if you do if you get raised by anybody than Berger, the guy in the small blind?
Depends how much the raise is. If the raise isn't too crazy, I'm gonna peel off. I'm gonna try to see a card.
And then you're gonna check turn, right?
Right, exactly.
And then you miss, and he bombs turn.
Yep. And then I realized that was probably a stupid move.
Well, I mean, I'm trying to help you think ahead, right? Like, what would we do in spots where we're exploitable, right? How do we prevent being exploitable? I think
you sound like me, for the record.
I know. I know. I stole it from you, Till. I'm sorry. I've learned and then practiced. What about John? What is John doing? You guys are all on mute.
50-50, same way. Sometimes I bet this spot, sometimes I don't. If I do bet it, I agree with the smaller sizing. The maximum that I'm going to bet in this spot's probably around 100, maybe 105-ish. If I get raised, yeah, it's not a good spot. I'm not loving it, but you know, I guess it's pretty easy for somebody around the button or late position to maybe limp 5-8, but I would more so suspect 7-6 or 8-9, something of that nature, and you know, it's just not a good spot for me. If I get raised and it's not too bad, yeah, maybe peel 1 and hope to see a 3 because that's probably going to be the best card in the deck for me.
Yep.
Otherwise, I'm just not really interested in continuing. I think with so many people in the pot here, if we do bet, the best case scenario is we get like at least 2 to fold, and so the field narrows quite significantly. Yep. Otherwise, we're just pretty much betting and almost giving up on everything that doesn't connect but a 3.
Right.
I mean, an 8's fine for us, but we're more into like check call mode instead of, you know, where a 3 comes and we can start going crazy.
So you said something about like you basically said you do this on a mixed frequency, right?
Yeah.
What is your theory behind making it a mixed mixed frequency. You're not really doing it to be balanced, right? Because we got the open-ended straight draw with no pair and unders. So, like, is it because you feel you're either going to feel like betting or you're not going to feel like betting? Is it based off of your previous actions and your image at the table? What motivates you to make this a non-standard call, a non-standard situation, and more of a frequency-based situation?
Right. Really depends on how I've been playing and so on and so forth. What the table image maybe isn't as important, but it definitely helps out. For me, it's more of a feel thing. It's definitely a board that could favor the blinds range versus a lot of others, in this hand. But it's also super easy for pocket fours or pocket sixes to show up. And, that's definitely a hand that's going to be raising us on a board like this. They don't want to slow play any of their flop sets on this board with that many limps. That's disaster. They're asking for the worst to happen. So I guess, it's not really.
This is and I'm not discrediting you. I don't like the word feeling. I like the word believe.
Right.
I have a feeling that this would happen. Basically, you're basing emotion on a logical situation. Right. I believe this is happening because of XYZ. Because then you can justify it with logic. If it's a feeling, you're basing it off of emotion, and we should never be emotionally based players because that leads to tilt, right?
Yeah. When I do bet these spots, I go with the fact that this is a better board, typically for the blinds range. And so if I lead here and the turn does come a deuce, it doesn't improve a ton of hands. If 7-6 is already there, I would assume they're going to raise me on the flop. 8-9 would probably raise. I don't know if they would. Some players do, some players don't. Yeah. So I think the deuce we can double barrel on, and the river really, really depends. If the river doesn't improve much or comes some really strange high card, like a jack or a queen, we might even be able to barrel the river, repping like some weird 4-6 or maybe even like a 7 deuce sort of combination.
Mm-hmm. What about you, Matt? What's your thoughts? Matt? All right, Matt's not there.
Can I jump back in here quick?
Yep.
Now, like I was saying, now I'm realizing like where I was in position and everything like that. Here's where I was going with that 90 bet, and I probably would throw that out here because there's more people in the hand, and if it does hit, and you get two people calling with ace jet, or it wasn't raised before the pot, so you probably it's a gamble. But I'd probably lay out a little bit of a bet just in case it does hit, and you get a couple callers, it'll pay you off. Versus we're heads up, I'm not going to bet.
And I like the way you think about it like that. Like I like that. But my question with that theory is, if we do hit our 3 on the turn and we pull value, from the flop with a 90 size bet, right? Which we'll say we get 2 callers, will take us up to about 400, right? Are we getting any more value once the 3 comes? Because it's a connected dry board, right? So if the 3 hits, you're on a 4 card straight board at that point, right? Technically, 2 of the 5, even though the 5 is the gutter in that spot, but it's the open ender after the flop. So are we getting any more value? We might get value against bad players, and I'm not going to argue that point because I think you're 100% right. But at the higher stakes, I don't think we get any more value. And because of that, and I was too. I was kind of thinking go small and then bet big on the turn. But I also think that we're not getting any more value when we hit, and we're only going to get value if they miss the turn and we bet big and advertise that we hit the turn.
I don't know, but wait a second here. So you're kind of, I think, hey, all right, how do I explain this? I think you're kind of, it's like betting when you got a 4-card flush or something like that. I mean, people think that sometimes people just don't think people would bet hey, I've got 4, I need one more diamond. So do you think like that, hitting that 3, the guy's going to suspect you when you bet 90 that you hit that 3, you hit it straight?
My
I don't
issue
think he's gonna
is
be, I
my
don't think he's going to think
my
we,
issue is that it's so multi-way, and that we have so much of a range advantage because we're in the big blind. We got 100% of the range right now, right? So if we
Okay.
bet out here, we obviously got a piece of it. If a 3 comes, we're not getting any more value.
Right.
If we check here and the 3 comes, then we can bet big, and they might not believe we actually got it because we opened up a lot of our range because we
Right.
did that with the draw. We're more likely to get value on the turn, I do believe, than we are flop and turn. What do you think, Toe?
I think these are the boards from the blinds that if you're going to donk lead out, these are the boards you want to do it with. Absolutely. The problem is, like you said, we're so multi-way and getting it through is shitty. I don't think we're going to do that. And if we do, I do think we have to turn a gajillion different cards on the turn into a bluff, and it gets kind of weird. So I would check the stack in this case. If we were like 3-handed instead of 5-handed, you donk let out for 90, I'm all about it.
Yep.
And then I would barrel a shitload of turns.
Yep.
About what we're getting value from with 3 on the turn, we're still getting value from all the 2 you said something about like them 4s, like all the 3 of a kind. We definitely get a value stream from those guys. And then everything else we weren't getting value from anyway, on this board. So I would definitely check call, and evaluate turn. If it checks around, I'm probably going to check again because it's so multi-way that whatever card comes, like a queen, it's going to hit a lot of people. So I'm check calling again. And
Oh yeah, because we're out of position and it's huge multi-way. Like just check call. Agree. Yep, check call here because we're open-ended, right? We got 31% equity.
yeah, and it's the beginning of the tournament when we're a gajillion lines deep and we get to realize the full equity of our hand.
And then we missed on the 9, so we just check fold. Or do we or do we go ahead and like overbet river like we were talking about yesterday?
Have to bet. I don't know if we have to overbet. I mean, we're targeting 6 and a 4. I don't know if you have to, but you definitely have to bet. You're out here with 5 high and no chance to win. I would probably go like 2/3. It's since you let turn. I would have checked and then give up river, but now that you're here, you got yourself here. You got to try and win the pot.
So you would have checked and then check gave up turn, or you would have checked call turn and then just check gave up river.
Yep.
Yeah, that's what I mean. I'm sure that's what I probably did was check give up river, but
here, since you bet turn, right?
No, he bet turn.
Oh, then I'm checking up. Yeah, no problem. I thought you bet turn. My bad.
Oh no, I didn't bet turn.
Yeah,
check
I'm checking it up.
Check back. God, dude. Pop it to 750. We might get the 7 to fold. It just popped in my
but
head.
That's a big if. A lot of like 8 9s now got to
Yeah,
pair.
8s get there, 8 5s,
6
like
9.
8 10s,
Yeah.
all sitting there waiting for you to try to just dunk out bluff.
And he still has all the queens as well.
Yep, and he's got all the queens. That's not folding going over bet, especially like King 10. Yeah.
I'm not a fan of overbetting.
We talked about it yesterday.
Oh, we'll fix
we had
that.
We had a few spots we were all going back and forth about.
Overbetting is phenomenal, both for value and as bluffs. It's a massive tool that will get you a lot of chips.
I mean, when you got to pull off an overbet, though, it's like that freaking tool that's lasting you. I don't know. It just
so it's one of those scenarios, like a rough scenario. Like you have something like top or middle pair, and it runs out 4 flush. Like 2 flush on the board, 3 flush on the turn, 4 flush on the river, and you have position, and that person checks to you. You should always overbet that pot like pot and a half, because when they check to you, they never have the ace of whatever suit's out there. They may have the king, and even the queen shits itself. So bet pot and a half when they check on the 4 flush board, and you'll take it down 90% of the time.
Yep.
And then convincingly as a bluff too, you can use that same flush card. If it like 2 flush on the board and you have bottom pair or something, or a straight draw that missed, and you get to the river and the flush card gets there, if you donk lead out for pot and a half, it always looks like the flush, and you get all the folds.
See, I mean, I'll do like 80% of the pot or 70% of the pot can get you the same result.
It really depends on what we're targeting. Like when you do 60-70% of the pot, like the 9 of suit is going to call you, the queen suit, the jack suit's going to call you. When you do pot and a half, the 9 suit, the jack suit, the queen suit, the 9 suit, the jack suit don't call you. The queen suit shit themselves. Maybe they call you, maybe they don't. But if they shit themselves, then they're more concerned about shitting themselves and less concerned about making the right play.
Right.
And so you might even get that one to fold.
Anybody anybody playing this? Yes, no? I probably folded it.
I just fold.
Yeah. Oh, wrong way. Go. Did I play this? No. This, no. Big blind, Jack 9. What are you doing, John?
Call.
Call. What are you doing, Sean?
I'm folding. I don't think it's worth the money.
What?
I don't think it's worth it.
It is. It's 5x. It's a limp and a 5x raise.
Oh, the other guy's in. All right, now you're getting 2. All right.
Yeah.
I see the one. See, I saw
5x raise. What are you doing, Matt? Mr. Knit?
He's calling me out. Jesus. Yeah, I call.
Yeah. What are you doing, Wisco? How you doing, buddy? I didn't even acknowledge you.
Oops, I call here.
Yeah. Yes. I think it's a pretty easy call. Even though it's 5x, like we're super deep, right? Play it like cash game. I'd play it. I'd call it. We need 24% equity. I think we have that.
We're super deep, and we have a hand that can flop reasonably well. We're not looking to flop a jack here. We're looking to flop, a really good straight draw, the nut straight itself, or a flush draw, something. We're never looking to flop the jack.
We're
3
looking
9s.
for the 9 set. We're looking for like the 9, 5, 7, 2 hearts.
Yeah, exactly what we're looking for.
That's what we're looking for. Stuff like that, because we got board coverage, right?
Exactly.
Oh, I did fold it. That's a call.
Oh no.
That's a call. Then I got the gutter with no draw. I get a free card. Oh, what's up? What's up, Toe?
I was trying to get to the mute button. Instead, I got to the fucking camera button. I don't hate a fold here. That's a fold 5 5.
Yeah.
Flatting is okay. I don't think flatting is terrible. It's super deep. But if we're not super deep, it's bad. But I don't think folding here is too bad with a 5x. It was like 3x, 3.5, 4. 5x seems a little heavy.
But we do got a limp behind, so we're in the big blind. So we got a limp, a 5x, a call from the small blind. Yeah. I just think I can outplay these guys post flop. So that's kind of
but you're out of position, right? So it's a little harder.
Yeah, and then we'd pretty much called, gave up, right?
Yeah, in the end, it's definitely the right play. With knowing what the board came, it just wasted money. I think folding is definitely fine. The raise was definitely big enough. When I'm super deep, I definitely like to take flops multi-way with hands like that. The implied odds are so good that when you hit your hand, somebody's likely to have something they can continue with. Maybe not the stone cold nuts, but just something they can continue to pump money into the pot with. And you have a good opportunity to cash in when you do flop a monster.
Yeah. And how did he play that? I think he just checked it down, didn't he? No, he bet turn.
Yeah, I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I just think you got to be real careful when you get second pair or top pair shit kicker and things like that.
No doubt.
All right. Yeah. Yeah, you definitely got to be very aware post flop to be able to play that. I agree.
Yeah.
So
Like
now we're
we
sitting at
discussed.
2.5 with kings in the small blind. I assume everyone's raising. What is everyone raising to?
I'm folding. I don't play kings.
Okay. All right. So you're balancing your range. So you're balancing your premium range.
Have you seen my stream? I don't know. I don't know how to work this thing.
Yeah.
I saw Sunday evening with 3 left and the 9-7.
Yeah.
I need to get in there more often. I don't
This is not
get a
cool.
chance to. I don't get a chance to watch you much anymore, Toe. Makes me sad. It's because they took away the home games. I always
didn't
look
take
forward to
away the home
Fridays. I always look
ACR
forward to the
did.
Friday home game on ACR.
Yeah, for the record, I didn't take away the home game. But yeah.
I know.
The home game.
ACR did.
I'm going 375, 390.
3X.
4 hundo.
4
We're in the-
hundo.
We're in the
Who said
small
4 hundo?
blind. Me. We're in the small
means-
blind.
I wouldn't go. I don't want to scare them. That's why I would go 390.
We're not going to scare them. This is standard to size up from the small blind when we're 3-betting at all. 3X is pretty standard. So at 375, I think we just bump it a little bit more. It doesn't get too risque for him, and it's an opportunity to put more money in the pot.
Yeah. What's your sizing here, Matt and Wisco?
Yeah, probably between 400 and 425.
What about you, Matt? You folding?
What, like 400, 450,
Yeah.
something like that?
I keep
Yeah.
my standard.
Area.
So I typically, when I'm super deep, keep my standard 3-bet between like 3 to 3.5, and then I will almost always 4X out of position. It's my go-to, especially when we're super deep. So I'll probably take us up to like 500, more than likely. Just 4X it. What do you think, Toe? You think 500 is too big?
3.5 to 4 out of position, totally standard.
Say that one more time.
3 to 3.2 in position, totally standard.
Okay, so 4X out of position is a little bit too big, right?
Nah, that's fine. I wouldn't go
Okay.
bigger, but yeah, 3.5 to 4X is totally standard out of the small blind or out of position.
What do I
Even
take?
more so out of the small blind.
Ooh, I click him back. I'm getting tricky. I'm getting tricky with the kings.
You know what you're doing?
What's that?
You're losing value.
I know. I'm losing value against the green bean. I only got 3 hands on him. This is his first hand he raised. I am losing value. Bet the nuts, right? This is technically the nuts. Only one hand beats us.
Well, you're playing psychological warfare. Now you're like saying, I got a pair of 6s. What do you got, buddy? Come on, I got
The clickback is so scary, but at this limit, like they don't realize how strong the clickback is.
Here's the problem. Like, do you ever click back jacks?
Never.
Do you ever click back ace king?
If they're super aggressive, like I could see me clicking back ace king.
Do you ever click back ace queen?
Never.
So it's always queen plus and ace king plus?
Yeah.
And that's the way everybody feels about clicking back. That's why the click back's not so great if you're going to use it that way. Now, if you guys have like 20 bigs each, or 20 bigs effective, and you have like ace 9 off here, and you do like, I don't know, a click plus a little bit of hair, just to put the stress on them because you guys have short stacks, 16, 18 bigs, something like that, I'm down. But if you're because with king plus and ace king plus,
because we would be clicking back a wider range at like 25, 30, right? We would be
Yeah.
clicking back a little bit of a wider
It's the
range.
exact same thing as the guys who limp under the gun and then raise you. It's always kings, aces, and ace king. Like
Yeah.
nothing else in the world ever does that. So I think this is kind of a tell in the same way.
And then, so nobody's clicking that back, right? Everyone's raising big. I'm firing now. I'm betting small on this pair. We should. Get a call. 5 on the turn. Going big. That big. 800. 800. 763. Call. Check back river. Good line? You guys agree with that line?
Yeah.
You do anything different?
Absolutely.
Yeah, I like it.
Oh, cooler.
And that's both.
Cooler. What do you think of that
Yep.
line, though? Do I do anything to make that different, to make that better in my favor?
I mean, you got a max value from a 3.
I did get max value from a 3, didn't I? Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, can't help it when he calls down that late and that terrible and gets there.
Yeah, not much you can do. You lost
have.
the minimum.
Limped pot from early to middle on the button. What's everyone's game plan here with 5-7 on the button?
If we're gonna play it, we raise it.
I'm just
Well,
calling.
You just call him? Did you say you just call Sean?
Yeah, I just call 3. See, how I see this is, okay, 50-50-50, quick math, 3.5 to 1 on my money. Yeah, I'm gonna call. I'm gonna try for 50. You got the small blind behind you. You know, you ain't got.
Yeah. What about you, Matt? What are you doing?
On the button, I'll probably just limp along.
You sure you're not folding? I think you would actually fold this. I think you're just trying to appease the crowd.
Shit, hell no. I ain't folding that.
You're not folding
He's
it?
evolving. He's evolving.
No.
He's evolving.
What'd you say, Teo?
He's evolving.
Is he full? I still didn't hear you.
Evolving. I am evolving.
He's evolving. Yes, you are evolving. What are you doing, Wisco?
I'm calling.
Man, I'm giving Matt a hard time today, aren't I? I'll lay off of him the rest of the sesh. But
Bring it, man.
I like both. Because if we raise and get a call, if we raise here and get a call, and we flop the world, nobody will see it coming.
Your opportunity of flopping the world is what 5-7 suited.
So we need a 6.
Your opportunity of flopping the world is so slim that I know you got a good. You know, you're still all right on a stack, but
yeah.
I
But
mean, you could. It's a gamble.
That's the best.
I don't really think it's a gamble though, because if we raise and flop the world, because we're going to be c-betting regardless, probably in this spot if we raise it. I think, and almost every situation we're going to be c-betting. So if we raise here and get a call, we c-bet the flop, we get a lot of folds. If we c-bet the flop and flop the world, we're getting a lot of calls.
I started off. I mean, you could limp here. You know, that's all fine and dandy. I think that's a fine route if you like to play not necessarily passive. It's okay to limp, but then you got to take a hand that doesn't flop great all the time, multi-way against 4 other opponents. I don't want to do that. If I'm going to play the hand, let's raise it up, because even with a flop that's not so great with 5-7 suited, we are in position. We may be able to take the pot down, if not on the flop, possibly on the turn. There are, plenty of things you can do against 1 or 2 opponents versus 4 opponents.
Yeah. What do you think, Teo? You think you just limp this back and just take it? Or do you think that this is a spot, if we get 4-bet, we can just fold? Like, it's not that strong. We might as well raise with it. It's kind of my theory. You were breaking up. Couldn't hear you.
I think there's too many people in the pot to do that.
I mean,
Like,
you're just gonna
what would your raise
Remember,
be to get them out? What would your raise be here? Like, tell me what you're
you're
thinking.
just gonna blow up the pot and then have to bluff it off if you don't hit the world. So why do that?
don't think about it like that. Yeah, limpers
of it
limp
as-
for a reason. They have speculative hands, or usually smaller pairs, things that they are not all that comfortable opening with. I mean, initially, we've got the fold, under the gun, and then under the gun plus one decides to limp along. Well, unless they're trying to set up some limp re-raise, which can happen,
Yeah.
they're limping with
They're just gonna call everything they never fold.
right,
Yeah, but
pocket fours,
Especially this deep, they never fold, so you're just blowing the pot. But,
Here's where I'm against raising. This is a perfect hand for you to limp with, because if you do flop the world, you flop the world.
But what if the board comes like
you take all those.
Hey, Sean, and I see your theory behind that, but what if the board comes like ace 8-3 and we bet out? We're going to get a lot more calls because we just limped along. We don't have a whole lot of aces. But if we raised and it came at ace 8-3, we miss pretty much completely, but we can still advertise the ace and still possibly get a fold on a C bet.
See, you're on the aggressive line. That's where I'd give up the hand and be like, oh, shit, you know what? Didn't work out.
Yeah. What do you think, Toe? You were breaking up earlier when I asked you a second ago.
Yeah, am I better? I was going through the mountains. So yeah, I mean, there's two limpers, right?
Yep.
So with two limpers, I mean, I generally don't ISO this. Size everything up, which means your C bet's going to be bigger, double barrels are going to be bigger. There was one limper here. I can see all three options. I think folding is fine. I think limping behind when it's multi-way like this is okay when you're super deep. If there was one limper, I'd be more inclined to raise it. I think it was Johnny who said you can raise it, C bet, and double barrel, and have a lot of things. So with one limper, I tend to ISO, but when there's more than one, if I'm going to play the hand, I'll limp behind.
Okay. That's a good rule. I like that. Because you don't have to bloat the pot too much. You don't have to hit the pot button. Like in this situation, we pretty much have to hit the pot button. Yeah.
Yeah, that's about, what Bruce Lee says, right? It'd be water. So sometimes I wouldn't say you should live. But like sometimes we have to have some of that energy. And when we limp, we got to be able to say post both ways with and without the initial. But I think those scenarios. Here, if you live behind, I wouldn't hate you. I wouldn't hate you, but it's getting a little expensive. 200, 225.
I did limp along.
Which means you're going to get 2 callers, 1 or 2 callers, right? So there's 500 in the pot. So your C-bet's going to be like another 200. Now you're in this thing for like 8 to 10 blinds. You could have just limped. And that's without even having to barrel the turn, right? Could be 10 to 12 blinds.
Yeah.
So,
And then he just fires out 100 and we give up. Eight deuce, probably folding here. Check 5.
Ooh, Jackson 5, baby. Don't you love when you you get that in a big blind or something, everybody freaking checks to you, and boy, boom, 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 2 jacks and a 5 plop out. I mean, everybody's had to have that happen once. I love that. Dolly Parton, 9 to 5. You ever win with a 9 to 5? 9 to 5? Oh, man, that's
yeah, probably in the big blind.
Yeah.
Maybe in the small blind.
Exactly. That's what I mean. The blind, you're like, it's a small blind, big blind special.
Oh, here I might win with a 9-3. We need 23% equity. Who's making this call?
I am not.
3x, 1 open, 1 razor with a 9-3 suited. I think we give it up.
I'm saving my chips.
I think I'm saving my chips too. Is anyone calling?
Fold.
you said
23% equity against a 3x raise and a call. Late position. What's that, Toe?
I'm folding.
Yeah.
Ooh, the guy, you hit the flush, but you don't know if you got the best flush.
Did I?
Well, no, the guy, like the flop came out, so you would have hit a flush on the river,
Oh.
but you don't know where you're at, and the guy
Yeah.
was super strong. So what do you do there? You know what I mean? You go in with that, you hit the flush.
Well, you fold pre, so you don't get put in that position.
Well, that or you
Good
just pot
story.
control and call the river and don't start 3-bet, 4-bet, 5-bet. You know, just call it.
Yeah. All right. What are we raising it to here? I assume everyone's raising this with a limp pot. What are we raising it to?
Buck 80. Standard. Go standard.
What's standard?
I go 3. I'm a 3x, 3.5, 3.5. I don't waste chips by betting 4 or 5. You know, I just go 3, 3.5, and let them know I got a little something.
We don't need to go 400 or 500, but with one limper, I definitely like to punish limpers. So I think 180 is a bit too small. I'd probably go between 225 and 240.
Ooh, I like that freaking. See you. Oh, that's a different way of thinking for me.
Yeah. No limping.
I'm pretty sure I know what the team toe guys are gonna say. Probably like 3x, 3.5x. I kind of defer from that. Everyone's over 100 bigs. I play the standard like 3x plus 1 for every limper, or like just hit the pop button when you got like 2 or 3 limpers. That's kind of my thing. What's your thing, Toe? I know what your thing is, but I'll let you explain it.
Yeah, 1 limper, 3.5x is about standard. If you want 4, I wouldn't hate you. If you went over 4, I'd date you a little bit, but I'd get over it.
Yeah, I'd probably pop this to 24. But yeah, 224 is really good. Ooh. And he checks to us.
Bet.
Who said bet? Matt?
Schaefer. Sean.
What?
Oh, Sean said bet. What are you doing, Matt?
Maybe not.
Yeah. Checking, I guess.
I guess. A little unsure. What are you doing, Wisco?
I think there's a check with intent to call spot.
Oh, we're in position.
Not a bad move.
He's already checked. He
Yeah.
went, we raised, he called, he checked.
I was thinking we were SB.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm probably just going to check.
I bet.
What are you doing, John?
The right play is probably to check, but my gut is probably going to have me bet this. I'm not going to need to go extremely big. I have a habit of downsizing. So if I'm going to bet, probably keep it around the pre-flop raise between 200 and 240. If he's got a spade, I'll find out about it right now.
Mm-hmm.
If he doesn't, and I can just win the pot outright, I'm okay with that too. I think
So
essentially,
if you're gonna bet with that mindset, what is your bet sizing? Are you going small or big?
I'm going small.
Okay.
I'm not trying to go big and bloat the pot and get called by something better.
Okay.
Rather bet small. Any non-spade hand that doesn't have a king is probably going to fold.
Yeah.
And you know, if he's got a stronger spade, I'm sure we'll find out about it. I don't imagine the ace of spades would just flat a bet here on the flop, especially if they've got a pair to go with it. I can't imagine him limping ace king or ace queen. So if it is anything, it's ace eight with the ace of spades. I think certain players with that hand would donk this flop. So going to bet small here. It's not really a feeler bet. I don't particularly like that term. I think you need to have an idea of what your bet is supposed to mean and what you're going to do. See, if I check back here and then he leads a brick turn, well, then I call. And in this scenario, if I bet small and he calls and then he checks turn, I can check back and get to river possibly cheaper than what he would see bet the turn for.
I totally, I'm on board exactly what he just said.
Well, I was on board until I was kind of on board until the very last thing. I think that if we do bet this flop, we need to be
Double
betting
barrel
big on the turn on pretty much all turns. But
270.
I think I checked this back because of one simple thing. There's 2 cards over a 9.
There are 2 cards over a 9, and the rule of thumb is check that one. Do not see bet that board.
Right, but I'm gonna let Toe answer, and then I got a question for Toe. What's the right play, Toe?
Interesting enough, because I have the 9 of spades, I'm going to check call, and then evaluate turn. If I had ace-9 off, then I would bet small on the flop and then bet big on the turn. And the reason is because you're going to get floated by queens and a lot of bare spades that can't call a bet on the turn. So I like the small bet if we had ace-9 off and then a big bet, 2/3 pot or so on the turn, 60% or so on the turn. I think that'd be awesome with ace-9 off. When I have the 9 of spades, we have showdown value.
I mean, we have ace-9. We have ace-9 off. You mean like ace-9, no spade?
Ace-9. If we had ace-9, no spade.
Yeah. Okay. And I guess that was my question, Toe, was how often does the 2 cards over 9 rule get trumped by a mono board?
I'd say pretty often. I bet these mono boards a lot.
Okay.
Especially if I don't have any of it, like I don't showdown value, I'm gonna double barrel them a lot.
Okay. Because I didn't know
the bear spade combos can
because my initial gut was that the mono board trumps the 2 cards over 9, and since we have a 9, let's try to build a pot for when we hit our spade. But
we don't know if our spade is good.
Right. We don't know if our spade is good, so we should check and then reevaluate turn. Yep. Maybe bomb turn when he doesn't bet turn.
Yeah, I mean, if it goes check, then I might go bet turn, bet river. Kind of depends. Harder to get a queen to fold when you do that way. So I don't know. I might even just check, and then if he checks all the way to the river, then I'm going to overbet it.
Ooh, I did. I went ahead and fired big. I hate it. Absolutely hate it.
Because now you're only going to go by a king and the ace of spades.
Yes, that's terrible. I get the fold. Means that I was getting no value anyway.
Well, you might have got a small bet and gotten the fold on the turn if he's got something like, ace-10. I mean, Jack-10's got a hard time calling when you bet big, right? They probably still call, but they have a hard time. Jack-10 without a spade.
I absolutely hate that play. Like, do not ever do what I just did. That was terrible. Well, we lost Toe. Ace Jack. Who's raising?
Everybody.
I am.
Everybody. Is there a specific amount?
Grandma's way to ISO that.
Is there a specific amount, or are you just hitting like the pot button?
Most of the time in this spot, I hit the pot button. I think if you're going to make it a specific amount, that somewhere around 4x, 4.5x is probably suitable. With 2 limpers in front, I don't want to be going small. So right. 4x would be 240. I think we could easily go 275 up to 325 in this spot.
I don't think I'd go 325. I think 300 is my max. Mm-hmm. But yes, I think you're generally right. What about you, Sean?
What? I just got back. Sorry, I had to get a beer.
Oh, right on.
Yeah, well, so I'm going to 240.
240?
240.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. I know Matt and Lisco, they're
His
just hitting the
screwed
pot
me
button, right,
so
guys?
bad.
You guys are just hitting the pot button here.
Yeah, 265. I don't know exactly what the pot is. I'm right around that 265 mark.
Yeah, I'm just hitting the pot button. It's going to take it up to probably like 400, I think. Pot says 258 plus the annies plus a little bit over the top. Yeah, it's probably closer to like that 400 marks, 400, 420. I just hit the pot button.
I like to give my villains a 200 or more to call here.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean the whole point of raising is not necessarily to fold everybody out. We're raising because we want to get maximum value out of a premium hand. We don't want everybody to fold every single time. We want the worst hands to call us. We want ace-8 offsuit to call us and to flop an ace with us. We want ace-10 to call us and to flop an ace with us. You know, we want to get paid. That's why we're raising. We don't want everybody to fold.
Ooh, now we got a situation.
That's a
we fold.
6 spot. That's a fold.
That's an easy fold, but damn, what a pain. All right. So.
That's a fold.
I've called that off 100 times and it's never good. That's a fold.
Did I note this guy?
See, let's evaluate Scabion here. Like overbetting his queen so bad. And
Yeah.
Holy shit.
Limps with queen, then jams.
Like that's like
bigs.
playing players like that. Like, thank you. I know you're. Oh god damn.
73 bigs out of position, actually.
I feel like I ran into this exact hand last week and was like, man, I know I should fold, but I just don't.
Well, Toe just explained it a minute ago. When they limp, you raise, then they jam on you. 9 times out of 10, it's like aces, kings, ace, king. This guy actually did it with queens. Like 9 times out of 10, when they do that, that's what it is. Like, and you just respect it. Like,
yeah, that's typically the line. That's pretty much it. I think I've
especially with these fishy green players, that's just what they do.
Right.
Especially even mediocre players will do it. I think I see it from time to time. Like they'll just like limp under the gun, but you'll see mediocre players do it out of like absolute earliest position, like under the gun, limp under the gun, and then like somebody will raise them, and then they'll four bet jam, or they'll like four bet like to like 50 bigs when they got a 100 big blind stack. Like, yeah.
Now, what if it's towards the end of the tournament and the blinds are crazy high? You know, the blinds are 2-4, 1-3, or whatever.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That changes the scenario big time.
Well, then you got push fold ranges, right? You're either getting it all in pre-flop or you're not, pretty much.
Right.
Yeah, true.
And that's I truly believe that ICM, push fold range, all of that is the difference between a truly profitable tournament player and not a truly profitable tournament player, which that is harder. I think that's harder. That's the hardest aspect of poker to learn overall in Hold'em. The absolute hardest. Like, I could play cash all day long, but ICM will always bite me in the ass some way, shape, or form because I'll make one mistake. One mistake and it'll mess me up.
ICM is where I struggle a lot too.
Yeah. ICM's tough.
I
watched getting better at it though. And that's one thing about Toe. Like, Toe is crazy good at ICM and like playing short stack. That's why he's so good.
I've read Card Player, but I don't know what ICM is. Sorry.
Independent chip model. Basically, towards the end of a tournament, your chips are actually worth money, and you got to figure out like how to maximize fold equity off of other players to pick up more big blinds to stay alive and stay relevant.
It just means what's profitable and what's not. What hands you can shove all in with and be profitable versus a certain person's range and which ones are not. So when you're under usually 10 to 20 big blinds is where we start using that chip model to decide which hands are best profitable and not in certain situations. What it is.
Yeah.
It really using that push pull. Using them push fold charts to determine that as well.
Look at small blind. Look at his chip stack. Are we playing?
That doesn't matter.
I have fold ace 4 offsuit from early position.
Yeah.
We never run into anything that is worse than us.
Yeah, I agree. If we get raised, we're done, right?
Yeah.
I play different. So. I have a rule that I played for a long time, and I'm not a great poker player, and I stopped playing that rule, like the ace 4 off small, especially like early position. I started, you know what? If I call, I'll call it. And if nobody raises, I hit an ace, I'm pretty sure I'm set. So if it's the blinds aren't high and shit like that, fuck yeah, I'm throwing in 80.
Yeah. What are you doing here against a 3x open with 3 calls? Small blind.
We got plenty of equity to go ahead and see the flop. I don't think there's going to be much merit to 3-betting. We're extremely out of position with a hand that can be vulnerable to anything that's going to call us. Nothing that calls us is not beating us at that moment. So anyhow, we got plenty of chips. What do we need? We're at like over 5.5 to 1 on our money.
Yep.
Easy call. We see the flop, and our decision should be relatively simple from that point.
I agree. What do you think, Sean?
Oh, that's an easy. I mean, that's like that's a call where you just wait for spades all day or day, and
And then I assume everyone's checking to the razor here. Checks around with the 8 on the turn. With the gutter, no flush draw, 1 over. What is everyone doing?
I'm down on chips. I'm below the 10,000. So this is not a place where I'm gonna. If I were to bet to try to steal the pot, I guess.
You're gonna steal against 4 guys with ace high?
No, I'm not going to. I mean, if I got a crap load of chips, I might throw in a 600, but I don't have a crap load of chips. So
I think that's. I also think that's absolutely pointless too, because for 600, I think a 5's still calling you. An ace 5's still calling you probably.
Think ace 5 will call 600?
Yeah, after checking the flop, if you bet 600 here and I was 2 can't.
Yeah, but
if you bet 600 here, I'd be like, you know what? I'm going to flip my 5 because I don't believe him.
Yeah, but that's where I'm like, all right, if I bet 600 there, whatever comes out in the river, that's where I go heavy.
Then you bomb it.
I set you up.
And there you go. That's the right mindset. If you're going to bet this, you got to bomb river. And we would in essence be turning our hand into a complete 2-river bluff, because we only have the gutter. So only the jack saves us. I just don't think it's worth it in a 5-way pot. But if you want to get cray-cray, I'm not going to judge you.
I agree. If you're going to bet the flop, and you are betting into,
because we're not going to bet.
Well, the flop you're right. You're right. If we're betting this turn, we're betting into 4 other opponents. That should represent some pretty high strength. Who leads this board into 4 other opponents without Jack 10?
I don't think that. I think that the power of position trumps what our actual range could be when we bet.
I agree.
Like betting with a 10, if we get raised by someone with like we'll say queen, king, queen. We get raised by king, queen. What do we do? Like, we're fucked. So, like, check it. This is a check all day. Right, Matt?
Yeah, I'm checking. I don't want to bet and get raised and have to dump it.
Yeah.
So we're out of position. And 4 people, 5 people. I'm not betting that. No.
All right, Toe, put us all in our place because we're wrong, please.
I'm going bet. The only reason is because they all checked around, so no one's got a queen, right? And we blocked Jack 10. Blocked the shit out of Jack 10, so I'm betting because I can get better aces to fold. And the 5, the 9, the 8, they're all going to flat you here. Pocket Jack's going to flat you here. But because you're in the small blind and checked around and now you're leading in all these players, you have all the queens. So I'm going bet for sure. I bet like, I don't know, 40% here, 60% river.
Right. So we bet small, bet big?
Yeah. Unless I hit the Jack, in which case I'm going to bet probably even bigger.
Yeah, you're right. If we bet small, bet small here, we're already committing to bet big on the turn. The difference is, do we overbet river when we hit the Jack for max value? I'm with you 100%. So we would bet what? Probably about 400. Probably about 400. What are you doing if you get raised though, Toe? You just dump it.
I mean, I was failing, I guess. I have ace high, but like, I just think the odds of us getting check raised after a check's run on the flop is like only 8, 9 pocket 8s and Jack 10. 8, 9 is kind of hard, and we block Jack 10.
We're not necessarily getting check raised because we're in the small blind here. Are we? Yeah, we're in the small blind. So, because we got the 10 blocker. So you're right. I mean, we get check raised. I mean, you're right. It doesn't happen very often, especially because we have the 10. Because
they literally never check raise anything but 8, 9. Sets to check the flop, sets of ace and Jack 10. Right? Like nothing else in their world is gonna check raise 5, queen, 9, 8 rainbow.
Yep. Because Jack 10 right now would have probably bet the flop. More than likely.
Some do, some don't, but like we have a 10, so it's hard to have Jack 10, right?
Yeah. Because it only leaves them 2 combinations, right? Well, 3. You check it. Queen on the river. We got to bet now. Oh.
See, this is the spot where leading the turn really gives us a great spot to, bomb the river.
I agree. I agree with that.
Now, 100%. Yeah. Now I think even if we lead for 900 or if we lead for 1,000, I think we get snapped off by a 9 or even possibly a sticky 8. We don't represent a whole lot towards the end of it here.
Agree. And because it checked all the way around twice, like now I think we have showdown value.
Yeah.
That's true.
Yeah. You agree with that, Sean?
King and ace jack, right? That's the only thing out there that beats us.
Yeah.
Right now.
Yeah, we have showdown value now.
Pocket 7 sucks, but that's what we get for not betting the turn.
Does everyone agree with that? I agree with that.
100%.
Damn it! We get all that shit to fucking fold.
All
that shit to fold. If we bet the turn, we get all that shit to fold. All of it.
If we bet the turn and one of them comes along and we bomb the river, they definitely fold.
Yeah.
Yeah, so they both might flow you because they both had straight draws, right? But they're not calling the river bet, that's for sure.
Yeah. It's true. All that
Not
shit.
to mention, this is another spot where I would bet kind of smallish on the turn, and then with the queen specifically, I would overbet river because now fuck your 9.
It did. It crossed my mind. It totally crossed my mind, and I almost said it, but we wouldn't have been able to. Like, we can only overbet the river.
And the 9's going to call in a spot like this. Par and a half, they're never calling.
Right. And we can only overbet the river if we bet the turn. We can't overbet the river after checking the turn.
Yep, makes no sense.
Yep, agree. Oh, I went a little fast. Who's folding? Who's raising?
I'm raising.
I promise not to pick on you anymore, Matt, so I'll just let you answer.
What? Yeah, raise.
You raising?
On the button, yeah.
What are you? Yeah. What are you doing, Sean?
Hell yeah.
Button's overrated. I'll probably just stop. Well, I would just stop it.
You just limping?
Listen, there's another hand after another hand. I don't know.
You just limping? Is that what you said?
Well, if you're up against two other people and they ain't going crazy, and it really depends on how long you've been sitting with these players too, and how well you know their style. I mean, you really got to figure that out to determine what the hell you're gonna do with that hand.
I'm never limping the button. Never. 0% of the time.
I think raising the button is overrated, and I've messed up so many players because they raised on the button.
Yeah, and and a lot of poker coaches, especially when you see them online, they say that pre-flop is the most important street. I argue that your post-flop streets.
If you over-raise your button, when you finally do raise the button, people don't appreciate that shit.
But what I'm going to say is, if you're comfortable playing post-flop, it doesn't matter what you raise pre-flop, because you already know what to do post-flop in all situations pretty much. And that's why we study, really. Because like I was going to say, a lot of poker coaches that you find online will tell you that pre-flop is the best street, is the most important street. I argue that post-flop, typically your flop and your turn are the most important streets. And the easier you learn how to play, the better you become at playing the flop and river, or the flop and turn, the easier post-flop becomes and the more confident you get. Hey, David, what's up, man? Hey, turn your camera off. There you go. Awesome. Got it.
Sorry, I'm late.
It's cool. We got 2-7. Oh. King 4. Anybody opening the King 4 here? Anybody confident enough to open the King 4?
I call.
I open it sometimes.
You open it sometimes?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I open the King 4 suited from time to time.
Yeah. It really just depends on the players behind me, right? Like it comes down to how good we are post-flop. Like, how confident are we that we could beat these guys post-flop? And as it sits right now, I'm very confident I can beat these guys post-flop. Right? So, yeah. I think we pop this. What do? Fold it. Cool. Yeah.
Got the fire alarm going off. This is awesome.
King 6.
Oh,
I opened the King 6 from the what? Cut off low jack, or from the low jack? I think that's a little. Let's see. I fold it. Pocket 6s.
Ooh, early position.
Ooh, interesting spot.
Ooh, I want to know what the professionals do here.
And Toe just left.
Oh, you're professional. There's plenty of guys in here that definitely know what they're doing. So I want to hear what you guys think. Oh, I can't wait for this.
Okay. And I've been kind of trying to. I even said this during Wisco's group on Fridays, because Wisco has a group on Fridays. Like, this is the exact situation that I was talking about last Friday when I said, am I confident that I'm ahead? If I feel like I'm confident I'm ahead, I'm going to go ahead and 3-bet it. If I'm not confident that I'm ahead, I'm just going to set mine it. And in this spot, with him opening it, he's a 24 with 26. I'm not confident I'm ahead, so I'm going to set mine it. What do you guys think?
Can you show that 24, 26 and what that means again?
So he plays 20% of his hands, but he only raises 4% of the time, and he's calling 38% of the times. And his aggression factor is super low. So what does that mean? That means that he's relatively tight passive. So that means that he only shows aggression with premium hands. And that means that you don't want to 3-bet that kind of player because they're always going to call you. Always. If they're raising, they're looking to play for stacks, basically. This is more of your tight passive instead of your loose passive that we would consider fish. This is a little different. So when they actually raise it, they got it, right?
All right. So say you don't have that information, and you're like, you don't have that information.
If I don't have that information, then I'm
so full, but
I'm still more than likely going to be just calling this because one, the raise is still coming from early position, which means that there's a lot of pairs that he has that are better than mine. He still has we're flipping with everything. We're basically flipping with the bottom of his range. He's not opening fives or less, which are the hands that we dominate. So that means that there's a good chance that we're behind. So I go ahead and flat it. Now, if let's say this guy was like a 45-36, just a complete wackadoo with and I got like 50 or 60 hands on him, fuck yeah, I'm raising him. Because I know my range. I know he's doing this with any pair. I know he's doing this with Jack 10 suited. I know that he's doing this with hands that I could potentially be dominating. So in that situation, against a super loose aggressive guy, yeah, oh yeah, I'm 3-betting the fuck out of him. But in this situation, in majority of situations, I'm just flatting because most players have a range that destroy me right now, basically.
I agree.
That's a shitty position too.
Yeah, it is. I think we all face these, during in-game situations. Yeah, if you're plenty deep enough, flat.
Let me grab my bacon real quick, guys. Keep talking.
Yep. You're looking to set mine, and that is pretty much all you're doing. I mean, yeah, if the flop comes 3, 4, 5, our pocket sixes don't look so awful after all, but we still have to keep in mind that in case he does have a hand like pocket tens, pocket nines, we're still losing. Even though our hand looks a whole lot better, we are still losing. They're just, in reality, for pocket sixes, pocket fives, and all the lower pairs, there are just not going to be a ton of flops that we're going to be loving. It's just not going to happen. So the benefit of position and hoping that everyone else folds out behind us usually doesn't happen. Once under the gun raises, if you call from an early position, typically doesn't always, but in other smaller stakes games can set off what I would refer to as like a chain reaction. The blinds feel like, oh, well, I'm getting pot odds, but they don't have a clue about what pot odds are. Well, I'm pot odds on my money. I have to call, even though I have 9-6 offsuit.
They were suited.
Yep.
Right.
So they're just not going to be a ton of flops that sixes are loving. If our opponent really is a pretty tight knit, we definitely do not want to be 3-betting. So yeah, we're going to play the hand. We flat, look to set mine or fold.
So in comparison, this guy is a 24. He plays 20% of hands. He uses 4% of the time. Currently, we are 18-12.
Right. So we're tight.
That brings comparison to what he looks like. So he's super cally. Hey, I'm gonna ask Wisco. He's got his he's muted. What are you doing here, Wisco? You raising this or you just flatten it?
I'm flatting all day. We're getting
all day.
We're getting nutso odds here.
Yeah. We're getting nutso odds and no reason to try to raise off a better range. I agree.
And limpers in between actually make our odds better.
Yeah.
So then we have that many more villains that have potential to pay us off when we do make our set.
I'm telling you right now, if you ever see this Poker 4 USA guy, just say something to him in chat. Just be like, hey, Poker 4 USA, you suck. Dude, he'll tilt off his entire stack to you, I swear to God. Like, that's all you have to say to him. Just tell him he sucks. And he'll tilt his whole stack to you every time.
I final tabled with him. I think it was one of the little 10-cent, $50 guarantees.
Yeah.
And I called his 3-bet with Queen Jack suited, or maybe it was offsuit. Anyway, I was like, man, this is going to be the one time he actually does have aces or kings. And the flop came down like 3 Queen Jack. And sure enough, he had aces and stacked off like 90% of his stack to me. And he was just livid.
And here's the thing about this guy, playing with this guy. He'll donk out min bet. He plays limit poker. He'll play limit poker against you, and if he bets anything bigger than min, he's got top pair or better. Like, it's literally that easy to figure him out. Like,
I already have it noted that he donk bets top pair or better.
No. He'll donk bet everything almost. Like, if he's got to draw anything, he'll donk bet it, but he'll bet bigger when he's got like ace jack here, or like pocket kings, any overpair. He'll bet bigger. What are we doing against this donk bet and a call? I'm gonna ask Wisco, because this is a Wisco spot right here.
I end up floating here a lot.
Yeah. That's what I figured you'd say. What about you, Matt? And then Matt's the opposite, and I'd be like, oh, just give up. Oh, I promised not to pick on you anymore, didn't I? Dang it, I'm sorry.
I think we're getting odds to call almost anything here, so I'd probably call one.
Right? Well,
try to see what else they do.
Not really. We don't really have backdoors because backdoors get beat by bigger backdoors.
We don't really have much of any backdoor. I think what we're doing is getting an insanely good price to try to hit our six. No, we got 16%.
But is our 6 good though? Is our 6 good against 8-9?
Yeah, definitely. Our 6 is always good.
8-9.
Nobody has 8-9 yet.
Nobody. But what if they have 9-5?
We're okay.
All right. What if they have the 9-6 and we hit the K6? I agree. I'm just being honest. What are you doing, David?
I'm sorry. Say again.
What are you doing here?
6s?
Against a min donk bet. A guy, an habitual. He's an habitual min donk better. He does it every hand. Pretty much.
Well,
doesn't matter what he has.
The thing is, I never play cash games. So
this is a cash game. It's a tournament, man.
Oh, it is? Oh, I thought it said.
I bubbled this.
In that case, I'm 3-betting at least.
You're raising?
Yeah.
Dave's going balls to the wall. He's raising.
Should I just call?
Yes. What are you doing, Sean?
I rarely ever do that.
Me? I mean, Christ, 80 into 912. I'm calling that all day to hopefully hit my 6, even though you got to worry about the straight. I'll worry about that later.
I just fold because if I hit my 6, I don't know if it's good. I know we got odds, but we are drawing dead to a 9.
Yeah, that's equity though, man. I mean, come on. What's going to beat you? 7, 8, or like a perfect 8-9 is going to beat you. A perfect 8-9. So now you're going to figure out the 8-9.
Yeah.
You hit your 6s. You hit your trip 6s, and say you bet 380. You know what I mean? And somebody hijacks your ass for a big bet. That's when you know they got it. Otherwise, I mean, the chances of them having that 8-9, I mean, I'd take the risk, and I'd go 80. I'd go 80 to see a 6. It's cheap enough. It's really cheap enough.
I agree. I agree we have pot odds, but I didn't think that if I hit my 6, I'd be good. And I didn't think that my backdoor draws would be good. That's kind of what
That's plenty good enough reason to fold. Seriously, just because you're getting great odds doesn't
It
mean that you have to make the call.
Yeah.
Right on.
Multiple times has Daniel Negreanu played on televised and poker go events and given people ridiculous river odds when the nuts are staring him in the face, and they just give it to him every time just because the odds are there, and they say, well, in long term this is supposed to be profitable.
That's
well,
patterns.
Right.
You notice that I pulled my browser off of the screen because if I put WWP, Pornhub would popped up, and I'd have been embarrassed, and I didn't want that on the recording, so I made sure.
Everybody has Pornhub.
You're a coward, Johnny.
I'm a coward, dude. I did it once. Before these guys joined the group. It happened one time. It popped up. They were like, Johnny, I think Pornhub just popped up on your browser. I'm like, oh, fuck.
Oh, I used to have dreams that I posted something on Facebook that I'm like, whoa, is that picture on Facebook? I woke up sweating.
Yeah.
Like, all right, it ain't that.
I want to make sure that this goes through right.
Ooh, sixes again.
No. This is a replayer hand. I'm putting it on replayer so I can send it to the team group because I want to see what Toe thinks about it. Folding to the min bet there. Yeah. All right. Cool. Copy. Now I will show you guys. If you guys are in Toe's Discord, you as a Team Toe member, you'll have all these you'll have these ones that have the little lock on them. If you're part of the team, if you're not and you're just part of the army, he still has a Toe hand discussion that you guys can post and ask him about. Right? You just got to throw it in the replayer. But since I'm part of the team, I can sit it in here, and these are pretty much all the Team Toe hands. Yeah, so I sent him a hand the other day. So,
team, I'm not sure who you are though. I'm not
what's
sure.
that?
Can everybody introduce themselves? So I'm like kind of.
Well, yeah. So I'm John. I'm Johnny, and then the guy with the Bruins, that's Wisco. The MM is Matt. DR is David, and then the one with the chips is John. I'll let everyone introduce themselves, and so I won't be an asshole. Was this too?
It's a pleasure to meet you all.
Thank you. Pleasure to meet you too.
You guys definitely know what you're doing, and I like the different outlooks. You know what I mean?
Don't listen to me. I just went for a bluff with pocket fours on a queen 9 jack board in the cards chat free roll, and it did not pan out. The guy went super deep into the tank too, and I was like, man, he's really gonna fold. I can't believe it. And yeah, it didn't work. He had like 12 seconds left, and he just jammed. I was like, yeah, that's not good.
Now, see, here's the thing about poker too: is it really depends on what you're playing, your mindset on playing it, and how serious you are on really putting your mental ability into this shit.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
you're exactly right. I just had a feeling that the board wasn't super good for him, that he was mindlessly c-betting, which a lot of people do, and that I could take it away from him. And I gave it a shot, and it didn't work out. That's okay.
Hey, John.
Yeah.
You said it again. You had a feeling.
I had a feeling. I knew the guy.
I learned that last week. You don't like filler bets. You're like, I don't like filler bets.
I don't. I really don't. I
had a logical belief that this is what happened.
Weak,
yeah.
And he just clicked the half pot button, and off to the races we went.
Ooh, here we go. What are we raising to here? Where'd my HUD go? My HUD disappeared.
It's gone.
Straight up, what you're raising is depend on what you're raising before pre-flop and how many people know you in the table.
We've got almost 80 bigs.
Yeah, but
we're
remember, I don't know, John, if we talked about this, but my pre-flop sizing is based off of effective stack at the table and who's left to play. So my kind of rule of thumb is if everyone at the table is over 100 bigs, played like a cash game, so 3x plus, right? Anything between about 40, anything between 40 to 50 to 100. So it varies because if the majority of players are above 50 and then maybe two players are like below 50, then I'll still bet at 2.5. But if majority of players are between 40 and 50, and then there might be like two players that are over 50, I'll just min bet, right? So that's why I say between 40 and 50 to 100 is 2.5. And then if the effective stack is consistently below 40, it's just a min bet down to about 25, and then we're considering like rejam stacks on ICM implications.
What's effective stack? I don't know what you mean by that.
Effective stack is the shortest stack left to play. So since we're under the gun, the whole table is playing. The effective stack would be J Money because he's got 5,490. The next lowest would be 925.
The most you can play for. The most that anybody can.
The least amount you can play for.
The least that anybody can make you play for if you get it all in, yeah.
Yeah, is the effective stack.
That is correct.
I think 100. So the effective stack is at 50. He is the lowest stack, so that means we're going to go 2.5.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
I wouldn't hate you for opening the 3, but most of the time I find it, I don't deviate from a lot of my bet sizing. If I'm opening the pot, a lot of the times, at this stage, it's definitely like 2.5, sometimes 3x, but usually when there's a 50 or shorter big blind stack at the table, because me and you did discuss this, it's 2.5. It's 2.5.
Yeah. Now you'll ask guys like Matt and Wisco who are part of Team Toe, and we multi-table a lot, right? But I can still get my bet sizing is in. But Toe will tell you, man, he's like, man, I'm multi-tabling like 12, 15 tables at once. I don't have time to type that stuff out. I'm always min betting, like always, like just because it's easier to do, and you're still an effective raising, right? So, and he's super confident playing post flop, and he can play 12 tables, so that's good for him. With me, I mean, I can play 9 or 10 and still kind of get my 2.5s in there. So, like, that's why I still do it. But yeah, if I was to throw caution to the wind and pop up like 20 tables and try to do it, no way in the world would I be able to type in 2.5 size bets. I'd be min betting everything. You know what I mean? I'd be min raising everything pre-flop, even with 100 bigs, just because I don't have time to type it in. You know what I mean? Am I right about that, Matt? Am I right about that, Wisco? Well, Wisco likes to make it like 2.1. He always likes to add like the extra 5 chips to make it not exactly a min bet, which is pretty cool.
I do. I like throwing it. Everybody throws in like I do that 209. Like maybe
that's what Wisco does. That's Wisco's thing, right, Wisco?
People that do it, it's just like, well, why not pretend I do it too?
Yeah.
Yeah, I like to get up over a min, 2-1, 2-2, in that range.
All right. So we got pocket aces.
2 people in the pot.
We got 2 cards over 9. Does that apply? Does that rule apply when we have overpair?
What's this rule of 9s? I don't.
Okay. So if we're the aggressor and we open, right? We should, in general, we shouldn't be c-betting boards on flops with 2 cards over a 9. It's general standard rule, right? Because it hits a lot of calling ranges. So if we get called we don't know where we're at, right? Because it doesn't effectively change our villain's range when they call us after we c-bet when there's 2 cards over a 9 that we missed, right? But does overpair
Right.
trump the 2 cards over 9.
Yeah, that's where I'm like, well, you're playing.
Yeah, I think with the overpair here, whether it be aces or kings, that it warrants a bet. Nobody that is playing with us is, at least I don't think, most of the other opponents are going to pick up on our betting tendencies, whether we are checking top pair with 10 kicker or less,
Right.
or just, not see betting flops that have, bigger cards than 9s. I don't think they're going to pick up on any of that. So
As long as
we want to
we're
get
balanced, I agree
we
with
want
that.
to
As long as
we want to get max value from aces, right? That's
Yep.
the whole point.
Mhm.
So definitely c bet this board. We don't need to go gigantic. Ace queen's calling us, king queen is calling us. If he's got queen 10, well, good for him. It's fine. 450-ish, maybe even 550.
Yep. And now that we've agreed that betting is the right thing to do, because I agree that we're all going to agree that betting's the right thing to do. Do we bet small and then bet big on the turn, or do we deny equity to the king jacks, to the jack 9s, to the king 9s, or do we want those to come along for a big bet too?
I want them to come along. Good luck, king jack, because I'm holding 2 of your nutted outs.
Yep.
I'm going 400.
What are you thinking? What are you thinking, Sean?
I'm going 400 because maybe
You going flop back turn?
I want people to stay in, but not to get them out.
Yep. So you're going small then big on the turn, is what I'm assuming. Or you're going small, big on the river.
Turn card. We'll see what happens when it comes to
Okay. Okay.
I mean,
So if you plan
let's see
to
what
bet,
happens on that turn card.
if you plan to bet the flop, what size? Or if you plan to bet the turn, what is your size on the flop?
I plan to bet the turn.
You plan to bet the turn, right? Like you're wanting to bet the turn, so you're going to be betting the turn on majority of cards, right? Is what you're saying. On majority of turn cards, you're betting turn, right? On the majority.
Of course I am. Yeah. I mean, they ain't got it straight yet.
Yeah. So if that's the case, what's your sizing on the flop?
Sizing on the flop is 400. See what the turn card is.
Okay.
The turn card's a scare card. I'm gonna go 2/3. Be like,
Okay.
all right, fuck you.
So you're basically, if you're gonna bet scare cards, then you're gonna bet 100% of your range. Probably you're gonna bet 100% of the time then, probably, because this is a relatively connected. This is a slightly connected dry board, so you're going to be betting pretty much any turn card, really, if that's the case. Which I'm not saying you're wrong. I think that that's a good strategy, as long as you have the mindset that you are going to bet the turn no matter what. What do you think, David?
Well, normally, I'm learning a lot watching you guys here, but I would bet hit 990 and then hit my button 2 more times.
You say
don't scare them out.
Well, that's what I do, I guess.
You can't fear the Reaper. It sucks, but like that's the key. That's the key to maximizing value, is not caring when you lose to the 3 outer. Like that's exactly the key to maximizing value. So
yeah. We can't be afraid to go for it here. Like I said, we want to get maximum value out of the aces. I got 2 opponents here. I think I'm betting 550, and if I get one of them to call, well, that's another 1,100 into the pot. So now we're over 2,000 on the turn. If it's pretty irrelevant, and there's a lot of turn cards that are going to be really good for us, I think then that can barrel 13 to like 1,500. And get called by a queen easily enough. And then the river, I can fire pretty big and probably get called down there too.
What are you doing, Wisco? I haven't heard you talk much this day.
I'm going to take a big line here.
You going big?
Yep. So about probably 500 would be the smaller end of my bet spectrum on this flop.
Aren't you a little worried about diminishing too much of the range by betting big?
Not really.
How often do you bet? I guess we would be betting big with
If you
King
bet
Jack.
500, I'm gonna just jump in here. If you bet 500, and I got the up and down straight draw, I probably, well, it depends. The stacks are, yeah, I'd probably call 5.
Yeah.
But yeah, 500, I call
That's
that.
great. It's not a problem.
That's the point.
On this dry board, yeah. I kind of.
That's the point. We
I
want you
agree
to
with
do that.
But I guess my question is, how do we stay balanced if we're going to do that? Like, what other hands are we betting big with on this flop that we would be betting big with on the turn? Like King Jack, right? I think we would do that with a straight draw. I think we would bet big with a straight draw, but because we're not going to get raised very often, it being so dry.
Yeah, here, yeah, we do have King Jack suited in our range, I suppose. King King, Ace King, Ace
Jacks.
Ace Queen.
No,
Ace
because
King,
Jack would be middle pair,
King
so we would
Queen.
check Jacks. Yeah.
No, not Jacks. We're checking Jacks.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's a lot of cards in our range. Just we don't. I guess the closest thing we'd have to the bluff would be our King Jack suited, which we're generally raising from that position.
I think if we wanted to in this spot, we could get ambitious and try to turn like Jack 10 suited, or I don't think anybody would be ambitious enough to turn King 10 suited into a bluff. But Jack 10,
we'd be breaking the checking back middle pair rule, though, wouldn't we?
right. There's no sense when we have showdown value to be turning our hand into a bluff.
With those hands, sometimes we can take a check bet line. We're getting value.
Mm-hmm.
But I guess my question was, Wisco said that he wanted to go big, and my issue with going big is, like, one, we're diminishing their range to a point where, like, it's only draws and queens, like in a pair of queens in sets, right? And
so we're hanging out at 10.
If the draw gets there and we bomb the turn, we're forced to check river and then have to fold because we've diminished their range with a big line.
I can't see many folds.
So if you bet big, king comes on the turn, we bet big again, they call, the river blanks a 7, and we check and they bomb for, they basically jam on us on the river. Like, what do we do?
I'm such the person that if they jam on me, well, it depends. I already forgot if they limped in, or it really depends.
No. We're talking about if we took a big line. We raised, obviously. We raised under the gun. So yeah, we have all the overpairs. Like our range is pretty diminished the way it is already, right? So, we have the sets. We have the set of queens. We have the set of 10s if we're a little on the. We got the set of 10s. We
might fold sometimes on the river, but not very often, I don't think.
Yeah, you gotta like. That's where, like, the table, like, hopefully you sat down at the table with him a little bit, and then you know if he's really jamming with something good, or you're like, shit. It's hard to pull the bullets, but it's been done.
Yeah, I think if we go big on the flop and then the turn comes a king, a jack, or even the ace, that's not good for us. Doesn't if the turn's an ace, we're never folding. It's not a great card for us. We need to recognize that, and we don't need to go crazy. I think if the turn comes either of those three, I'm not really worried about the 8. If they got jack 9 and they wanted to peel with jack 9, congratulations, you got there. Good for you.
Yeah. And I guess
king jack definitely peels because you're peeling to the nuts at least. So king jack.
Go ahead. I think there is an argument. I think that there is an argument for Wisco's line of going big because there's not a whole lot they can hit on the turn that we wouldn't bet big on the turn.
So now, how big is big though? Explain to me.
Probably like 6 like 660, between 600 and 660.
Probably
And then-
about 6 on the.
You're not worried about like scaring away queen 10 or something like that?
No,
Worried about
not at
that?
all.
That's
That's coming along for a big bet. And
Yeah, I don't think
it's probably
Queen 10's
beating us.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
like Queen, we'll say Queen 9. Like, no, we want Queen 9 in there. We want the the King 10s in there. We want the Jack Queen, the Jack 10s in there. Like, we want those hands to call us big.
Yep.
The problem is we don't want them to get there on the turn because it's pretty much going to kill the action and we're out of position. But I do see the idea of, there's not a whole lot of good turn cards for them. It's all the high-end cards. We're blocking the 8, we're blocking a lot of the top-end straights.
Mm-hmm.
So there's no flush draws right now, and we have the ace of diamonds. So what if the card comes diamond on the turn? We got the blocker to the flush now. Yeah. Oh, we got diamonds and hearts, so we block half the deck on that aspect.
Yeah, there's just not a ton of really good turn cards for their range. So
I just would much rather keep in most of the 10s. Really, I like to keep in those 10 7s that came along because we got Poker USA in there that will play with a deuce 5, and he'll call me. You know what I mean?
Yes, they will.
So I personally like the small bet, big bet. But if we're gonna go,
See what happens. Come on, moving on.
If we're gonna go big, we're just basically betting that the turn's not a big card.
2/3, 2/3.
What's Matt doing here?
Yeah, what's Matt doing here?
Yeah, what's Matt doing?
Matt, are you there?
Matt, we need you.
I'm just going big, big, big.
Yeah.
You're going triple barrel big. You don't give a fuck.
Yeah.
Well, we can bet a lot of rivers.
Yeah.
Value.
Depending, but yeah.
So you're going
plan
big,
would
big,
be to
all
go
in,
big, big,
pretty
big.
much. You'd be going big, big, all in then.
If I can, on good runouts, yeah.
I did go big.
That's big.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we want to stack people with pocket aces, right?
Oh, now I'm really happy because now
I like that
USA.
too. Now betting.
Good turn. Big
Yeah, I
again.
want to go small
That
now. I
didn't
want to
change
go
anything.
big, small, jam. Over Jam River.
Why?
What?
Because I don't want to scare him
Yeah.
off.
Well, now you look
Yes,
like
he's
you're
a
bluffing
fish, so.
if you do that. You look like you're bluffing. You look like you're going with mint pair or something like that. Yeah, I see what you're doing.
I love the sizing. It gives him everything he needs, and now this is a terrible river. What? What are you gonna do? I think he easily continues with a 10. He could be the guy that continues with King Jack or Jack 9, or
Yeah,
Here's
everything
the thing.
fits, though.
Or
he could
pocket.
have the old 5 deuce, and now he got
All
counterfeit,
the
which is great.
draws, man.
God, man. I check River.
Yep,
Check.
Check it.
check call. It's a terrible river card.
Here's the thing. If Poker USA bets, he's got the queen.
Mm,
He's checking back everything else because he sucks.
Players, right? Exactly.
In general, I would probably, man, yeah,
I mean, he's got to have bluffs, right?
yeah.
So what if he bets all right, Johnny, what if he bets 23.95 right here?
Well,
Where are you at? Because you got 54.82.
this guy in general. Are you talking about this guy in general, or are you talking about any other typical player?
Typical player. I mean, just no stats, no nothing. You're in this situation.
I got 5K. I got 5K behind. I would probably fold.
That's half pot.
Yeah, I only got 5K behind. At that point, it's either I'm not just calling off half my stack at that point. I'm gonna play for stacks, or I don't know. It's 50-100, so that'll leave me 20 something blinds. I'd probably still fold, unfortunately.
Yeah,
after two big bets. Like this goes back to the testament that I said earlier. By betting big on turn and betting big on flop, betting big on turn, we diminish their range so much that if they bomb out this river, it's a queen every time. Everything else has showdown value. Like there's nothing.
Yeah,
what are they
queen or
bluffing
flop.
after calling two
Queen
streets?
Fluff, yeah. Yep.
And they're like a straight draw. Like they might try to bluff off a straight draw, but most of the time that's queens. Like
Yeah, a lot of the times they're going to show up with really nutted hands.
yeah.
It's just an unfortunate run.
Ooh, what's next? Come on, Art.
Yeah, I don't think I'm getting off of this. I'm just gonna check call.
You're just gonna check call. What about you, Matt?
Probably
Before
checking.
it's either a queen or like a slow played set of deuces, something. We're losing.
No, we're playing deuces.
What are you doing? What are you doing, David?
Shouldn't be.
At this point, I'm checking.
He should be wanting to get it in with deuces.
Yes.
He would have raised us with deuces by now.
Yeah, we got to call off 1500.
Or fives. He doesn't have fives.
Player, and he knows
Maybe
this.
He set of tens. Would have wanted to get
a
it
better
in.
hand.
Probably got like
time.
queen or something.
You guys calling off this 1500?
I've got a question right here.
Villain made it really easy on us there.
Yeah, he made it super easy on us.
On that.
Yeah, I'm calling this. What'd you say?
Value on this, devalue this.
I've got a question for
all
of you guys right here. Now, this is where, and this is where it's hard online versus, and face to face. Is do you take a really long time and then check it? You know what I mean? Like, is this where you use timing to your somewhat advantage?
Oh, timing tells. I think that timing tells. I think they're a little overrated because a lot of players are multi-tabling, and the players that aren't multi-tabling don't know how to use timing tells properly.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't even really consider timing tells unless I know that I'm playing a player that hit their time bank and is really thinking about it. And like I know the player. If like any other time, I don't even consider timing tells, like ever.
All right, so say before you keep at the 1500, you have the ace, the queen hit, and you spent, what do you got? 30 seconds on ACR, or I don't even know what you're on.
Well, I'm on bed.
30 seconds. So say you wait 20. Say you waste 15 seconds going bing, 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 and check. He bets 1500. Does that change things?
No. It's more. I think in some okay, if that was to happen and he was to bet 3,000, maybe, but the size of his bet for being 1,500, he just made it super easy for me to make the call because he gave me pot odds.
You're pricing.
Yeah,
I'm pricing.
Yeah, if he's got a
I'm
queen,
not risking a whole lot of my stack to pick up to double my stack, pretty much.
Yeah, yeah. I think if you in this spot and he's got ace 10, he barrels this river. He's like, well, he doesn't have a queen. He was on a draw, or he's got pocket eights, pocket nine. People don't, the bad players don't tend to really think about things in depth. Jacks. I think Jacks could bet this rip. I don't think pocket kings, just flatted pre-flop, so they're probably out. Pocket queens didn't flat us pre-flop. There's only one combination of those anyhow. Yeah, so if he doesn't have the queen, and the queen on the river is both one of the worst cards for us and the best, because the chances of him having a queen are a whole lot less.
Mm-hmm.
But if he does, that really hurts, because that's one thing we could easily put him on with two big bets. So anyhow, jacks or a good 10 with a good kicker could certainly call us. Could certainly bet.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
We'll see what I do. What are you doing,
10,
David?
Jack 10.
What are you doing, David?
I'm calling.
Yeah.
Yep. He gave us a good price. We call.
9-8.
Beautiful. He's bad.
It's gotta have bluffs, right?
I told you he's
Told
bad.
you he's gotta have bluffs. Called
He's really bad.
Called two streets and then barreled the freaking gutter.
He wasn't calling no raise anyway. He was
Right.
Well,
Like that was a terrible turn call for him. Like no way does he call big bet with 9-8 in that spot.
No,
Never.
that's horrible.
Not with the gutter.
What do you think 9-8 should have done there?
Right. And if he did,
9-8 should have like. I mean, if you're gonna bluff that pot, come on, man, 1500. Shut the front door.
If
you know
any-
what? This brings up a great thing to bring up. Let's say that we had the 9-8 on the button here, right? And we called the big bet with the gutter, thinking that maybe our opponent will one and done it, and then we could steal it on the turn. But then let's say like fires out, or let's say the 5 was an 8, right? Or a 9. And then fires out another big bet, and we got the 8 or 9 now, right? But we still got our gutter, and we make the call, right? We're like, okay, we'll try to steal it from him on the river then. And he checks the river on the queen. We jam the fuck out of it. He can't call shit. Like,
Absolutely.
yeah, he's got a ton of queens, but like if we make the mistake to call that turn and that queen comes on the river and it checks to us, our only option is to jam. Is our only option. We cannot, like, we have too much fold equity to not jam the river. Do you guys agree with that?
Yeah, and if we pair up with the 8 or the 9 on the turn, that brings in a ton of straights that continue, or just straight draws that continue on that flop, and the queen on the river really changes nothing. You know, unless they were, pretty nutted up beforehand with a queen 10 or the pocket 10. So anyhow, a lot of the straights come in. We definitely bomb that river. Aces, kings, they're all in. Ace queen is in a really, really shitty position.
Yeah, and we get tens to fold. We have an 8 or a 9 on the turn, and we get a 10 to fold, so we get better to fold.
Absolutely.
Do you agree with that, Wisco? Even though we know that between me, you, and Matt, we're probably not calling the turn bet if it goes big. Like, we get that. But let's say that we just happen to.
Does Villain have to bluff this river? Yeah.
Yeah, we would have to.
They really do.
Right? He would have to jam it. If he jams it, we fold. Like, even with aces, we probably fold. Like,
yeah. I think anything.
That's the power of the overbet that we were talking about, Sean. That's how you can utilize the overbet, like we were talking about.
I love overbetting. It's so fun.
I save the overbet for special occasions, Joe. A little bit like that. Like
oh yeah, it's definitely it's got its spots. You got to be able to know when to use it.
Yeah, I overbet spots where I could easily be bluffing, and I am, and I overbet spots where I could easily be bluffing, and I have the nuts.
Hey David, what are you doing here? You need 14% pot odds to make this call.
Normally, I would fold king 5.
And I don't hate a fold here. I think that this is one of those spots. It's all about how comfortable you are playing post flop. Like, how comfortable are you playing post flop out of position? I'm super comfortable doing it, so I'm gonna go straight off of pot odds. But I don't hate a fold. Anybody who else is folding? Matt, you folding?
No.
No. Wisco, you're not folding, are you?
No, I've been on the calling side.
Yeah.
I call.
I'm assuming everyone's calling this.
3 to 1, I call.
With
4 to 1, I call.
with your stack,
Well, who was trying to talk? Was that David or John?
that was me, David.
Okay.
I may have just. This would probably be one of the few things I would limp because you got double what they've got, and if you hit a nice flop, that would
It's
be
just easy to play.
Yeah.
Hit it or we don't. You hit a flop, you go with it. If you don't, you ditch it. It's easy play.
It's a cheap It's a cheap flop. You see.
But you got to remember your fundamental. You got to remember your fundamental rules post flop. So we got a king 5. So if we hit a 5, are we betting? No, we're not, because we only got a 5 kicker, right? So we're checking our 5. We're checking the top pair king. It obviously.
Always.
Oh, wait a second. Flop comes out 5, deuce, 9.
Yeah. Then
Oh yeah, check middle pair. Forgot.
No, because now we have middle pair. We're checking back middle pair, right?
Right.
We gotta, because we check back middle pair. The c-bet rule of 9 and over doesn't apply because we weren't the initial opener, so we don't have to worry about that one, right? If we get top pair king, we check because our kick is 5. If we get top pair 5 in a weird, awkward situation, well, we'd be checking anyway because we're not the initial raiser. It's really that simple. But if we were to open,
it sounds like we're checking then.
Yeah,
everything. You're checking everything.
It's
Yeah,
pretty
we
much
check
like
the
we're
deal.
100% check, man.
We have to play king 5 though, because we can flop 2 straights 2 different ways.
And 2 flushes.
This ain't Omaha, man. You can't flop both ways.
This is a horrible flop. Easy fold.
easy,
Bye-bye.
Yeah, he potted it.
Yeah.
pretty much.
Yeah, I think we're
700 to 40, 740.
He's like, I got ace 4. I'm betting it.
Easy fold. All right,
Yeah.
we're gonna one more hand. Hopefully, one more hand. Ooh, I think we'll play one more hand after this, but yeah. Wisco, I'm gonna leave it to you, Wisco, because this is your spot, bro.
I go 2.6 here.
Yep.
So 265 chips. You can go as low
So
as
we got
245.
78 bigs is effective. We have 12, so we got 78. I'd pop this to 300 personally, because my standard is 2.5. So I'd pop this to 3.
Yeah,
in
for
my
the small
rule-
blind.
Yeah, small blind versus big blinds. Kind of my rule of thumb is limp lead with the middle of your range, raise with the shit, and raise with the top of it. This is definitely the bottom of our range, so we want to go ahead and try to take it now and steal it. If, let's say, we had a Jack 10, no, let's say that we had like a Jack 7 suited, that's kind of the middle of our range, I might limp lead. I might just go ahead and limp and maybe call off a raise and then check. Or if it goes, I call, he checks, I'm going to limp lead, like min bet all flops, pretty much. Just try to take it down. But in this specific spot, 9-6 is the bottom of our range. We either give him a walk, which I don't want to do, because we haven't been raising a whole lot out of the small blind or had the option to. So I want to take advantage of it now. Does anyone disagree with that?
A little bit.
Okay.
Sounds good.
What's
Raise it.
what's your concern about doing that?
I'd cut my losses and say fuck 6-9 offsuit and just take the 50, dude.
Okay. And you know, I don't hate it. I think it's second best. But I don't think it's a mistake.
Right. I think that's fair enough, but the big blind could literally have total 100% random range. We're leaving money on the table if he's willing to do the same thing with 6-9 offsuit. If he's sitting in the big blind with 6-9 offsuit and we raise him up to, 300 or 325, well, he goes fuck 6-9 offsuit and just mucks it. We take the pot and we're good to go. We're off to the races. 10 deuce folds hand and he's holding a better hand.
Here's my
190 chips.
here's my thought on doing what I just said, and this applies more to live poker than. Dude, I'm showing you respect. Like, fuck you, I ain't got shit. Take the fucking hand.
Yeah.
That makes him think like, all right, like he no,
I think there could be an argument that, like, because we're still relatively deep, if we are allowing this big blind to take walks, that means that when the blinds get closer, when we get less big blinds, we can steal them a lot more when it matters. And I think that is a very good argument, because basically the logic of it, well, he was folding it, he was walking me the whole time. He must be getting hands in the small blind now, so I need to fold to him because our range is relatively tighter necessary.
Exactly.
There's definitely a logic to it, by all means.
Mm-hmm.
But especially in an environment where physical tells and physical movement and so on and so forth isn't a factor, I'm aggressive as fuck. You don't want that blind. You just stuck it out there, and it's free for the taking. It belongs to me now. If you want it, you can fight for it, but it belongs to me.
What are you doing, David?
Oh, I'm gonna raise him and try and take his 100.
Okay.
Probably 200. Raise to 200.
Well, here's the thing about that, David. I think we got to up our bet size slightly when we're out of position, especially in the small blind, because we're out of position. So if your standard is going to be a min raise, you need to go about probably 2.5 small blind versus big blind. So you probably want to take it up to like 250. My standard in this situation would be 250, so I would take it up to 3. So I'd go 300 instead of 250.
Makes sense.
Yeah. Did I ask you, Matt, what you're doing?
Are we raising this damn thing already? Jeez. Let's go. Raise it, 300.
And we get the fold.
We're so freaking deep, these numbers don't matter. 250 or 300, just raise the damn thing.
Anybody playing this?
We're 80 bigs deep, man. Damn.
Anybody playing this against Poker USA, raising to 200?
No.
I could totally peel a hand like this against a player like that, because I know damn well I can outplay them.
Like you know that you're 10 on a jack 8 2 boards good, right?
It is good all the time, every time, because he's raising ace 7 offsuit.
And he's just gonna min bet into you until you hit it. Like,
right.
I'm with you 100% on that. Like,
I think if I'm going to do that, I'm definitely going to 3-bet here.
Yeah, we don't want to bloat the pot, and then if he gets lucky enough to catch his top pair, then we're crushed. Like I said, if he's raising ace 7 or ace 9 offsuit, and the flop does come out ace high, yeah, we slam dunk middle pair with our 10. Yeah, we're crushed, and that really sucks because we can siphon value out of this guy all day long. We don't have to bloat the pot with a hand that we're speculating with to start with.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think that I don't hate a 3-bet as long as you know how to. Unless you're like ironclad post flop, you got to be ironclad post flop. Me personally, I don't even think I'm ironclad enough post flop, even against this player, to be able to raise this and be able to make the right decisions against this player.
Yeah,
and that ultimately causes me to resort back to pot control. So if Wisco, like if you feel confident enough that you can beat this guy post, like by all means go ahead. Like I go for it. I'm gonna resort to pot control.
Great for light threes.
What's that?
Like these offsuit combos like this one are great for light threes in position like this.
So what, like 600, 550, 575?
Probably 665, I would guess.
They're great for a 3-bet against someone who's going to call us with a much tighter range.
Yeah.
This guy's literally calling us with everything, and we don't want to. Like I said, we don't want to go to war with this guy. If we get a guy that could be raising ace king or ace. Yeah, ace king or ace queen, from a tighter player. Yeah, we 3-bet them and they decide to flat. We can pretty much easily determine what we're going to do post flop. Against this guy who could literally have anything, we don't want a 3-bet, bloat the pot. Yeah, commit ourselves and then just end up totally screwing the pooch on that one. It'd
You're
be
taking
over.
2 napkins against 2 napkins. Which one has a better napkin?
Right. What are you doing, David?
My napkin.
Well, at first I was saying,
No.
but then when you, and I said, there,
What's that? You were breaking up a little bit. I could hear you.
oh, sorry. I said initially I would have said fold, but then you mentioned Poker USA, and I'm thinking I would just call it.
Right. But we gotta be confident post flop. Like we can't be in a situation like, oh shit, I should have never called, right? So like folding's perfectly okay. But like I think that I can beat this guy. So I'm gonna I would probably fold it just because I was multi-tabling and didn't see it. But yeah. What do? I do fold it. But I don't well then big blind raises it and then we'd have to fold, right?
Right.
All right, last hand right here. Last hand. What are we raising it to? Because we're obviously raising it, right? We're not gonna bullshit around here.
We're not playing 450.
I like it.
I like 500, 525. Just hit the pop button. We got 2 limpers, right? Just hit the pop button.
Right?
Okay.
Yep.
What are you doing, David?
I would hit the pop button.
What are you doing, Sean?
I'm betting. You know, I like the 450, 500. You're deeper in the tournament. It's like people tend to play looser as they're deeper.
Mm-hmm.
So you got Poker USA. That's a donk, right? So definitely, I want to go at least 500.
Yeah. Like I said, just hit the pop button when you got 2 limpers. It's simple. I mean, it's quick. You get enough chips in the pot, and you don't really have to think that hard about it. Now, when there's 1 limper, just add 1 big blind to whatever you would do. You go 500. Ooh, 4 ways. Fucking shitty ass flop.
The donk pedals.
Oh yeah,
Man, he will play limit poker and donk out every time, man. Guy's fucking terrible.
Fuck this guy, I'm raising it.
Right? And you know he's gonna call
Make it
you.
like 8.
You know he's gonna call
Make it
you.
800 or something.
He's gonna call you and then he's gonna donk out min again.
Then I'm gonna play for a stack. So make it like 8 or 9, and then we can jam turn.
With ace high, no flush draw,
Fuck this guy.
backdoor straight.
Fuck that motherfucker, exactly.
You're gonna let
100%.
You're gonna let this guy tilt you?
100%.
Because you know he has all of that shit in his range because he never folds.
Yeah, but you want to beat him really bad, so.
I know. We
That's
want
equity
to.
right there.
But he's basically inducing us to tilt off. We want to induce him to tilt off, right?
True.
What are you doing, David?
I'm raising probably at least half the pot.
Okay.
Like you said,
I was-
I would call it.
All right. What are you doing, Matt?
And I told you what I'm doing.
Oh.
Actually, I probably called it.
F this guy. I'm raising it to like 800. Yeah, 1,000. I'm good with that too.
Yeah. You know,
Jam all turn.
yeah, I'm not sure if everyone timed in on that one, but yeah, I think we do raise this because we got 2 behinds, and we want to go heads up with Poker for USA in this pot. We think that our ace high might be good. More than likely, it's probably good. So let's go ahead and raise it up. Get the other 2 to fold. If one of the guys from the early positions come along or raise us, we can get away. No harm, no foul. But we had a better chance of maximizing fold equity against the 2 players that check. So, yeah, raise it up to. I take it up to about 1,400. Is everyone cool with that?
Yep.
1,400, and we can still get away from jams. Even Poker USA, we can get away from the jam if he jams over the top.
I mean, 1400 looks a little suspect though. I don't know.
Well, that's something else that we were talking about in Tuesday study group, was when we're in spots like this where we're up against like a min raise of some sort into a massive pot. Don't take into consideration the actual bet size. Take into consideration the pot odds for the actual pot itself. So even though we're going 14x over the original open, we're still betting 60% of the pot, which is going to maximize fold equity to the other players to play. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes sense.
Oh.
What the hell is that shit?
Well, it's better than folding.
Right.
It is better. Well, I was never going to fold here. I'm never going to fold.
Well, yeah, but you're taking those 4 ways still. Jesus Christ. Okay, I guess we just call.
Yeah, I guess we might as well just call.
Gotta take it down the call.
Oh, come on, Johnny.
Dude, he's got all the 5s in his range, dude. He upped his bet size. He didn't min bet the turn. He's got a fucking 5.
You're getting 2,500 to 1.
No, but he's got a 5. He's got a 5. Like, he's that bad. I promise you, he's got a 5. He's got a 5.
Fuck these guys. I hit a 3 and I get it.
He ups his bet with the 5 on the turn. It's obvious he has a 5. He only would do that with a 5. Only. That guy, because he sucks that bad. Let's see if I was right. No, we had the 4, but we still lose.
We only lose because we let him keep going.
Huh?
We only lose because we let him keep going.
We let him set his own price for his.
Yep.
Yeah, if we raise the flop, he might check the turn. When the 5 comes, we can barrel the 5 and get a fold. I agree.
We ought to be ashamed of ourselves how we played that hand.
I don't want to finish on that hand now.
Can't go out on bad note.
Can't go out on a bad
Can't leave
note.
a bad taste in your mouth, right?
That's a fold.
Yeah.
Everyone agree that's a fold?
Yeah, that's a fold.
Under the gun raise, that's a fold.
Well,
Yeah.
yeah, I guess.
Anybody justify a call here? You can't. You're just wasting.
No. Wasting chips.
First act, but man, if I'm like second or third act, say I'm where J Money is.
Yep.
I call that 250 all day long, and if everybody calls behind me and ace hits, that's where I feel comfortable. I mean, I don't see not where you're at. I'd probably fold it. Yeah, definitely probably fold it.
Yeah, it's a bad spot. If you're in the dealer spot and you want to, see the flop and look to hit the nut flush or the wheel, that's all fine and dandy. But if you flat there and then somebody down the line decides to bump it up to 950, well, then what are you gonna do?
Yeah.
Right.
If you're on the button with that ace deuce against the end of the gun open, what are you doing?
A raising.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think
That's a good
if you're
spot for
wanting to
bluff.
balance your suited, honestly, no, hear me out. If you're wanting to balance your suited ace range, I don't hate it. I just don't like doing it against an under the gun open.
Oh, the under the gun open is extremely strong. But
Yeah.
we've got to.
So they're blocking all my aces, so I'm pretty much just drawing to a flush. They got all the pairs. I'm just drawing to the nut flush. Even though I might be able to outplay them post flop because I got position, I think in most situations I would be 3-betting the ace deuce in late position. But against the under the gun open, I think I do flat it just to see the flop.
Sure.
But under the gun against under the gun +1, that's a fold. All right. What are we doing here? We got a limp from the low jack, and we're in the big blinds with a 10-9. What are you doing, David?
I check.
What are you doing, Matt?
Raise.
To what?
350, 400.
Okay. What are you doing, Sean?
Hold on here. I'm playing another game here. 910 of hearts. Let's see. 100. Depends on jam one. It really depends on how how the hell his table image is.
Right.
I mean, if I'm feeling frothy, I might jack it up to 3. I'm just gonna check.
Yeah.
Not 99% of the time, I'm just gonna check here. But if I've seen him sitting around and he's playing really tight, or if I got one of those HUD things and I know he's playing really tight, I'd probably raise him.
I would do the exact opposite. If he was playing super loose without a lot of calling in his range, where he's raising a lot, I would raise him just to be able to take it down now. If he's super tight, I'm going to be checking back a lot because I'm looking to hit the wheel draws and capitalize off of my board coverage because I know that he's at the top of the range, right? If he's all over the board, I can 3-bet him off and advertise that I'm strong. So that's how I would play that. What about you, Wisco?
I tend to raise here.
Yeah?
Yep. Especially if our villain is like a 35-10 or something like that.
Yeah. I think this kind of falls under just like I think that this kind of falls under the situation of like we got 2 suited cards. Let's go ahead and see a flop and flop the world. We're out of position. We can still limp lead because we're in big blind and we have 100% of our range.
And I'm very much happy.
We no longer have 100% of the range. If this was 10-9 offsuit, I might be more inclined to raise a very loose player to go ahead and try to take it down now because I don't hold as much equity. It being suited, this kind of falls under the suited off-suited kind of deal for me, I think. But I don't think either of them are a mistake. I think it's however you prefer, whatever your game is. Really, I think it's a style choice, 100% style choice right here.
Don't fold.
Whatever floats
Don't
your
fold.
boat.
Yeah, I guess don't fold. Folding is a mistake.
I just think the limp pre-flop looks weak. It's not weak all the time. Obviously, sometimes, they're setting a trap.
Right.
And some players just like to play small ball. That's their strategy, and that's fine. But
Yeah.
it looks
limp
weak.
their whole entire range, yeah.
They do.
Those guys
And
that just limp everything. It's just
Yep. And I think this looks weak. I'm going to raise this. There are going to be a lot more flops that favor me versus him.
Right.
I can have all the pairs. I can have a lot of really strong hands as well as like I can have hands like I've got right now that are suited connected in the middle.
Straight.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can have all of that stuff where he's not
Straight
necessarily
both ways.
capped, but his range is much more narrow than mine.
Yeah.
So I think I've got the range advantage, and if I open the pot and take control of it, I have that advantage as well.
Yeah. Well, here's my thing. I think that we got a ton of board coverage with the 10-9. So like we hit the low stuff and we hit the high stuff. If we raise it, we lose our board coverage. So we're majority high stuff. So that means that that
range would be that.
Yeah, so if we in the limp lead, which is basically where someone limps and you call, or if you limp from the small blind and the big blind doesn't raise and you just fire out like a min bet, that's called a limp lead. It's the strongest move in poker, 100%. Like you'll get so many folds, you won't pick up a whole lot of pot, and like it's the main play for small ball poker, really. But I think that if we raise it here, we lose our ability to limp lead and use our strongest tool. But like I said, with the 10-9 offsuit, I would be raising it because I don't have as much equity. With the suited 10-9, I have equity to the hearts. Plus I have board coverage, which means that I can realistically limp donk lead on almost all boards besides like Jack Queen 5 or Jack Queen 9. I can bet all those boards. You know what I mean? So, and I don't have to bet that much. If I raise it up and it comes ace 10 6, I can't bet anymore, and I still might have the best hand because he limped and he doesn't have a whole lot of aces. You know what I'm saying? Does that make sense?
Oh yeah.
That's kind of my logic behind it. I do check. And we flop top pair 9 with a 10. What's our rule?
Check back with a top pair, 10 kicker or less.
Yes.
Oh,
Anybody betting this on the limp pot though? Matt, Wisco, you guys betting this on the limp pot? You guys going against the rule?
I think I do bet
Because
this.
if you're limp leading, you know.
125.
I would have bet.
God, man.
I'm betting it.
I think it's a bet while we're winning type situation.
But I was
Oh,
raising 3-2, so I don't know.
What happens when we lead out here and we get check or we get raised? We're not check raising because we're first to act. So we lead this for about 25, and then he makes it 450.
I mean, we got to make the call in hopes that we check.
Right.
They bet the turn, or they check back the turn because they were just trying to steal it.
Mm-hmm. But now all of a sudden we're really uncomfortable.
Yeah.
As opposed to if we check and then they bet, we're still very comfortable calling.
I guess you're right. We're not really worried about diamonds because the pot's super low. We're going to be playing stacks if the diamond comes. And we're only worried about a jack, a queen, a king, and an ace. We're worried about 4 cards. So 4, 8, 12. We're worried about a little less than half the deck. Everything else we can fire big on the turn and maybe get some value. Or do we get our value now? I'm kind of torn. Do we get our value now? But then we check back turns that come as overcards and we get bet off. So I think this does work better as like a check and then bet turn. I really do. I think this works better that way because we realize our equity better.
I think the limp or the check pre-flop, and then we lead here. If we lead here, it could cause, like I said, it could potentially cause all kinds of problems. So
Yeah.
I think we limp pre-flop, we check rather. We close the action pre-flop. We flop top pair, which is great. So we check and we go into like a check call sort of mode, or we start barreling turns that, are, safe for us, stuff we're not particularly worried about. If the turn does come like a jack or a queen, we can still check call. It's not such a really terrible situation. They could have king 10, queen 10, something like that, and just decide to take a stab at it. So I think there's a lot of merit to checking this flop.
I think that checking is best. I think checking is best. I think limp donk leading here is second best.
I would agree with that.
I don't know. I'm taking that 9s down while I got the chance. I'm gonna bet in there. I'm gonna bet in there. I'm gonna bet in there. You're not against like a super amount of people. It's like screw it. If I can take it right there. And there again is a situation if you've been at the table with the person a long time.
Yeah.
Right.
What are you doing, David?
Right here, I would have bet.
How much are you going to bet?
Start with. But what you've said makes sense also to check and try to get more value out.
Yeah, but we're also scared of overcards on the turn. So that's kind of why I'm like, I don't think betting's a mistake.
That's why you think betting's a mistake?
No, I said I don't think that betting is a mistake because we don't want overcards to come. Because now we have showdown value and then we got to check turn. After we check flop, we check turn.
Get this while I can.
But I think it plays easier if we check, because if we check and an overcard comes, then we can check call turn, and we're in for just as much. Really. I'm going to send this one to Toe and see what he thinks. Actually, I think it's a good one. What do you think, Matt? What do you think, Wisco?
I would have raised the pre, and I'm definitely c-betting this then, but.
Yeah, I think I'm betting. The way we played it, I think it
Probably betting big, just like you said. There's no good turns, right?
Right. So we just bet big one and kind of
But
give up.
there's some good turns, Matt.
There are a few.
Yeah, the 7s, 8, 10, another 9. I mean, we can get a lot of value from worse hands as well.
Yeah,
And
you can
you
get.
have the diamonds that'll float us, any second pair, third pair that'll float us, any draws that he has gonna float us for one. So you need to get the value now. So
A lot of overs will
yeah,
float too.
all the paint might float us for one if he's limp collie.
We'll see what I do.
So I'd probably bomb it. Actually, I'd make it like 300.
Yeah, and deny equity to like
Equity
the
denial.
make the diamonds make a bad call. Like,
Yeah, I'm not gonna let him see anything for free.
I do limp lead. I get a call. King on the turn. What did I tell you? I think we gotta bet big, right? We like because now we got two possible draws. Like we have a lot of draws here. We got the king. We got the king now. We got two pairs. Like, yeah. I think that if we limp lead, we have to bet. Expect on this board specifically with like the clubs and the diamonds. I think we got to bet big. Does anyone disagree with that?
I agree.
Because we in essence have to turn it into a bluff. By limp leading, we have to turn our hand into a bluff now. If we would have checked, and that means that we could have safely bet the king as a bluff and got more. And if we got called, we knew exactly where we were at, right?
I think I like to check here.
Huh?
I think I like to check here.
Really?
I think so. I don't check these boards very often. Two suit boards like this when I have some value.
Mm-hmm.
But I think in this spot I do.
Man, I'm totally torn on this hand. I really am. I'm totally just dumbfounded in this spot. I really am. Like this is probably the toughest hand that we've dealt with all night.
Yeah, very, very possibly.
I think there's merit for both. I think I would probably check here and just look to call. The pot's still small enough to where even if they bet a sizable part of it, I'm okay just peeling. But the bet, I don't want to. I already led the flop, which should show strength. I mean, that should easily put me, on some piece of that board. Well, if I lead here on the turn again, and then I get raised, now it's even worse.
I guess
check call is a lot easier to do than.
But here's my thing though. Like, if
it's a good bluff card too, but then everything else gets served. So
I just think that it's easier to play if we go ahead and just double barrel this and then just go to showdown on the river, because if we limp lead, get the call, now we fire out the king and he calls. He's got a ton of kings in his range, but he's also got like better nines. He's got flush draws. And that means that we can check down river for showdown value on pretty much any river. And he's only going to bet a king if it's not an ace on the river, or if it's not a diamond or a club, pretty much. So then we go to showdown. We have showdown value. Granted, yeah, we are beat a lot here, but I think that the best way to win this hand is to try to take it down now by betting, because we're not going to be winning a showdown a lot if we're called. If we check and he bets, he does have a lot of bluffs, but he also has a lot of kings, and we don't know which one is which.
I like check call, I think.
Check call.
Unless we get a very favorable river.
I think that if we would have checked the flop, we could check the turn, right? Call turns and then check rivers. Or we could check flop bet small on the turn, bomb all rivers is a bluff. I think that's the easiest line.
If I check the flop, I'm definitely checking turn.
Right.
Right?
We got showdown value.
Well, with that,
I guess we are turning our hand into a 2-street bluff if we bet the turn. So I agree with that. I guess you're right. If we check the flop, we are checking the turn.
I think.
Are we calling a bet on the turn if we check the flop?
Even more so, because villain should have more bluffs.
Yeah, and I agree.
Yeah.
The more we check, the more bluffs our villain should have.
Yeah.
So had we checked flop, that gives us more incentive to check call turn. Know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Let's see what I do. I do bomb it because I bet the flop. If we bet the flop, I think we got to bet the turn. And we get
Thing
a
is,
call.
we're getting nothing to fold.
Yeah.
Now that
What
we're
are-
called.
We are getting value from draws.
We're getting values
Yeah.
from draws, and we might get a 6 to fold on the turn. That
Listen,
might...
guys, I gotta jump in. I gotta say goodbye because I'm playing deuce through 7 triple draw and Raz at the same time, and freaking I can't pay attention to all.
Right on, man. Hey, we're this is our last hand,
Seriously.
so you're not going to miss a
Stupid
whole lot. So,
informative.
yeah, you're not going to miss a whole lot. This is our last hand, so
You guys are kick ass. I look forward to next week.
right on. See you next week.
All right,
Take care.
later, guys.
But yeah, we get. I think we get a 6 to fold on the turn. We get 6s to fold on the turn. We get the 7s. We get the 8s. We get the 7s, the 8s to fold on the turn.
We don't want any of that to fold, Johnny.
You're right. And value from see, we're only getting better to call and worse to fold. And I was trying to justify it. You're right.
Now here, I think we just got to take a check call line.
Yep.
We're leaving villains bluffs in.
Yep.
This is the easiest street to play right here. Not.
Boom! I still think that we got there the hard way, though. I think that there's got to be an easier way to play that hand. We got there the hard way.
What, we went bet check?
Yeah, we went bet check and still won with middle pair.
What do you have?
He's probably on a flush draw that gave up on the river.
If he had 8-9, like spades, maybe, then we're good. Because our 10 kicker plays.
Yeah, because if he had 8-9,
Mm-hmm.
if he had like 8-9 of clubs, he should have raised the turn, right?
Right. I would think he would raise the turn. So spades is the only hand that really makes sense.
Yep.
But I think with top pair on the flop, he has position. If you lead into him, doesn't he raise you a lot?
He limped.
Should.
He did limp, remember?
Yeah.
Yeah, you did
And then
too,
we
though.
tried to limp lead, and he called. I'm thinking like A6.
That could have been.
No.
That's in the zone.
I mean, he should be folding 6s when I bet big on the turn. Like a good player would fold an A6 on the turn when we bet, unless it was like the A6 of clubs, and then he should have been raising the fuck out of me.
Yeah.
But like, yeah, the A6 is definitely like a 3-better fold situation, and it really just depends on what his suits were. 9s, like if he's got like, well, he obviously doesn't. He's got like 8-9, and if he had 8-9 of clubs, he should have been raising me on the turn. Or he might have had like pocket 7s or pocket 8s that he limped with, or pocket 5s that he called down because he's a fish. Like we'll never know, but yeah, I mean, I'm still going to send this one over because I'm curious on what Toe would have to say about it, for sure. This is this is probably the toughest hand we ran into all night right here. It's a good one to end on. So now,
suited connectors, they aren't easy.
Yeah. So you Tim Toe guys, Matt and Wisco. I know that I was next in line for. I know I was next in line to go over a hand review for next week. This was actually the tournament I had listed. So if he does use it, you guys will probably run into these exact same hands.
Okay.
Just to let you guys know.
I'll be there next week.
Sounds good.
I sent my money over this evening.
Oh, nice. You know what though?
Oh,
this
sweet.
was my last month with the team, so I won't be there.
That's okay.
I'll be back at the first of the year though.
Nothing wrong with
yeah,
that.
I made a pact with my wife. She said if I could give her back Tuesday nights with the baby and have two family nights a week instead of just one, that she would go halfies with me on season tickets to the Colts next year. So I was
Nothing wrong with that.
well, I was like, I
but
can
if
give it till the end of the
Colts
year.
stay
I'm gonna
good without luck, then that might change.
What's that?
If the Colts stay good without luck, the season tickets might be a lot more expensive than you think.
Well, I'm not. Well, if she goes happy with me, I don't. I know that when we had Peyton Manning, the same seats were roughly about 3,500. They're going for about 2,000 right now.
Yeah.
So, like, I'm okay with an extra 1,500. So an extra 750 split two ways. You know what I mean? So
do you guys do 8 or 6 there?
8.
8. Yeah, because up in Green Bay they got both 8, 6, and 2.
Yeah, they got the flex. They got the flex, which is pointless. And then
Well, it's because they used to have 2 games a year in Milwaukee back in the 80s and 90s.
Oh yeah.
So that's why everything's all fucked up. But yeah, they hung on to it.
There we go. All right. So final thoughts, guys. I'll start with John because he was here the whole time.
Yep, good session. Went over a lot of different things. The last hand was definitely really, really interesting. 3-bet sizing was pretty interesting. In position and out of position. I agree with definitely sizing up, especially when we're out of position, like in the small blind and the big blind. We face in the open from like middle or late position, and we got the premium hand, ace king, pocket queens. We definitely want to make the 3-bet a little bit larger because we're going to have to play the hand out of position when we get called. Touching on ICM. ICM is great if you're not familiar with it. It can really, really benefit you throughout your tournament growth and improvements. So that's definitely a good thing too.
Yeah, and speaking of ICM, I'm going to be sticking to this tournament. I'm going to be finishing, I'm going to go through this whole tournament with this group over the next few weeks. So probably towards the end of next week's session, we'll be running into some ICM spots. And I do plan on actually buying ICMizer so we can actually cover all the ICM spots we run into so we can start getting an idea of where we need to be calling, where we need to be folding, and where we need to be isolating. So
yeah, it's a great tool.
Because right now on the free one, I only get one a day, which doesn't benefit us as a group very much at all.
Sure.
And Toe was on me huge. He's like, dude, ICMizer is probably your second most important tool besides like Poker Tracker. And he goes, and some would argue that ICMizer is actually more important as a tournament player than actually having a HUD. And I agree with him. I think that in a lot of situations, truly understanding your spots in ICM is actually more important than knowing the tendencies of your opponents.
Yeah, I think that makes perfect sense. I watched a video yesterday of Jonathan Little going over ICMizer and their Nitro feature.
Yes.
And their Nitro feature is really, really cool. And anyway, he went over a tournament that he had actually won, and it broke everything down for him. And he had 5 hands that he misplayed according to the program. And he went over those and he reanalyzed it. And he was like, I could see where that's wrong. And even though it's like a borderline spot, it really. And he said, when you're talking about spots where you're missing out on like 804 chips. Well, when you're talking about that versus 16,000, it doesn't seem like a lot. But if you keep leaving that edge on the table across the board, and you're leaving a lot, and you're losing out on a ton of different spots where you would be doing better.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah.
It
was really interesting. I enjoyed it.
Yeah. What about you, David? What'd you? I know you came in a little late. What'd you pull out? What'd you get this week?
Oh, I'm really getting a lot out of it. I'm learning quite a bit more options.
Mm-hmm.
I rarely ever limp, but I'm learning here that there is times to limp. I'm getting a lot out of it. I just got to put it to practical use.
Yeah.
And I wish I'd have been here on time. I was out at my dad's picking up some stuff that.
Yeah, and all the spots that we ran across early were pretty standard. Like we didn't run into a whole lot of trouble. We did overanalyze a few hands that I think that we didn't need to analyze that hard with, but yeah, it was pretty standard. You really didn't miss a whole lot, I don't think. What about you, Matt? What about you, Wisco? Pretty standard stuff besides that very last hand.
Yeah, these guys are really going after pots and thinking about pots in ways that, how can we turn our losers into winners, and that's what we got to do. Get value from our winners and get villains to fold against our losers.
Yep.
So, that's a big part of it, is to get away from that mindset of I'm playing my cards and I want to make a hand and that's it. We got to turn a lot of hands that we wouldn't be getting chips into spots that we're getting chips. I think that showed up quite a few times tonight, which is really good.
Yeah. And I know Matt, he's just going to be like, yeah, Johnny, you're an asshole because you keep calling me a nit.
I didn't say that.
That's my final thought. No. What about you, Matt?
Yeah. Just bets, sizings, and rangings. Just always trying to get value where we can and steal pots when we can. Just like Wisco said, we need to find spots where we can get chips because we just can't play our hands face up or we'll never win. You can't run that good only in certain tournaments once a month, once every couple months, and variance is going to kill you. So you got to find spots to take chips the other ways. And that's how you get deeper in tournaments, and that's how you win, is taking pots that other people give you or don't want to play or play marginal hands and stuff like that. We just got to attack them and take those chips away from them.
Yep.
That's how you win.
Yeah. And I guess my final thought is I touched on it before David came in, but I think it would work. But I think this applies to him the most out of all of us. Is a lot of study groups or a lot of study coaches that you find online, especially the ones that have been around for a while that haven't updated their content, will tell you that post flop or pre flop is the most important street. I kind of disagree with that in today's game. I think that your flop and your turn are your most important streets, because once you learn how to play flop and turn, it makes your pre-flop decisions easier. So
everybody knows how to play pre-flop, right? They all know how to raise and they all know how to c-bet.
Yeah.
It's the turn and the river is where you get all the chips.
Right. So understanding the general fundamental post-flop rules, like don't c-bet missed flops on boards that are 9 or 2 cards 9 or 5. Don't c-bet hands that your kicker is less than a 10 and like a mixed frequency with jacks that are actually like lower than that. Check back middle pair. Just fundamental rules like that will, once you start to see the hands evolve as you apply those rules to your game, it'll open a whole other window to say you'll truly understand how to play a hand, and you'll be able to make the decisions to maximize fold equity or maximize value early once you learn how to apply those fundamental rules. That's my final thought. So.
Yeah. Agreed.
All right, guys. It's been fun. I'll see you guys next week.
Thanks, guys.
All right. Thanks, everybody.
You're welcome.
Take care.
Later.